Chapter 1105. Let's see who dares to touch him. The people in the room were shocked. They widened their eyes and took a step back. Their gazes subconsciously focused on the arrow on the wall whose tail was still trembling. Who is it? The Zhou and Cheng clansmen suddenly shouted. The two villagers who had wanted to capture Gu Xiaoxi and Cheng Yaya didn't dare to move anymore. Everyone looked in the direction of the window and realized that the originally closed window had been opened at some point. A young man and woman were standing outside. The man held a bow in his left hand and drew another arrow from his quiver with his right hand. He aimed it straight at them. Let's see who dares to touch them. Gu Yundong turned around and entered the house. She looked coldly at the people on both sides of them. The Zhou and Cheng family heads were shocked. They pointed at the strangers with trembling fingers and turned around to call for the people outside. Come. Unexpectedly, just as he opened his mouth, the arrow in Xiao Qingyuan's hand shot out with a whoosh and landed on the wall between the two of them. Gu Yundong sneered. Don't shout or move. Otherwise, the next arrow will miss. She pulled back her sleeve, revealing the crossbow strapped to her arm. As she spoke, she saw from the corner of her eye that Zhou Jingui, who was standing by the door, wanted to sneak out. She moved her arm, and the crossbow arrow brushed past his calf, drawing a large line of blood. He cried out in pain and knelt heavily on the ground. Hong Xiaoni wanted to scream, but when she saw the arrow pointing at her, her voice stopped. She swallowed in fear. Gu Yundong said, I've already warned you. Why don't you believe me? Does anyone else want to try calling for help? No one dared to try. Although there were only two people on the other side, it was obvious that they were extraordinary people. They were also good at long-range attacks and were ruthless. They did not hesitate to shoot arrows. There were more than 10 people in the house. They were all ordinary villagers, and most of them were elders. They could not even walk properly, so how could they be their match? Even if they shouted loudly, due to the commotion outside the ancestral hall, others might not be able to hear them. Therefore, he could only stabilize them first and see what they were up to. This was the Zhou family's ancestral hall. Seeing that although the two of them had attacked, they had not really harmed anyone's life, Chief Zhou knew that they could still talk properly. Therefore, he secretly took a deep breath and said, Who are you? Why have you appeared in our Zhou family's ancestral hall? Chief Cheng also said, From the looks of it, you shouldn't be from the nearby villages. If you're just passers-by, it's better not to meddle in other people's business. This is a private matter of our village. In their opinion, these two people definitely had nothing to do with Gu Xiaoxi and Cheng Yaya. Gu Xiaoxi was a person who had escaped from the Yongning prefecture. He had no relatives or friends. Cheng Yaya was from Great Rock Village, so they knew all the people she interacted with. The two of them were dressed neatly and looked like they came from a rich family. They even had bows and arrows on them. Thinking about it, they should be young masters and young ladies from the county city or somewhere further away. When they came to this area to hunt, they happened to bump into this incident heading towards the ancestral hall. They were curious, so they came to take a look. Coincidentally, they did not hear the first part clearly. They only heard that the villagers were going to execute the two of them. Instantly, their sense of justice exploded and they stopped the villagers. Did they think that they were very noble to help when they saw injustice? That must be it. There were too many stories like this in the book. Everyone in the room was speculating with certainty. Who knew that Gu Yundong would suddenly turn around and quickly squat in front of Gu Xiaoxi? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1106, Uncle. In Yundong, Gu Xiaoxi knew that there were people in the house and what they had done. However, he knew that it was useless. How could outsiders interfere in the matters of such a large family? The unity of the clan was very terrifying and could not be challenged easily. Sometimes, even the county officials would not interfere. At most, the officials would give them a warning that they were not allowed to lynch, but who would listen? Gu village was like this in the past, and Gu Xiaoxi was all too clear about it. Hence, when he felt a shadow squatting beside him, he said in a hoarse voice, "You guys can leave. Don't get into trouble." Gu Yundong suddenly laughed and said in a low voice, "It wasn't easy for us to find you. How can we leave? Uncle." Gu Xiaoxi was stunned, and there was a moment of confusion in his eyes. The next moment, he suddenly turned his eyes to look at her. In front of him was a familiar yet unfamiliar face. In the past 2 years, he often thought of it. Sometimes, it became clearer, and sometimes, it became blurry. At this moment, this face was right in front of him, but he felt like he was dreaming again. He dreamed that she was chased out by her parents on the way to escape. When she was on her last breath, she called him, "Little uncle, save us." "Uncle, I'm Yundong. I'm still alive. We're all alive." Gu Yundong's voice was very soft, but it seemed to explode beside his ear. Gu Xiaoxi suddenly came back to his senses. Tears filled his eyes as he muttered, "All alive, they're all alive? Yundong, sister-in-law, Yunshu, Kiki, are they still alive? Are they all well?" "Yes, we're all fine. You're the only one who's not around. That's why I'm bringing you back this time to reunite our family." She patted Gu Xiaoxi's arm gently. "Hold on for a while. Well, go home after the matter is resolved." With that, Gu Yundong stood up again. Her back was facing everyone. No one knew what she had said to Gu Xiaoxi, but the vigilance in their eyes grew stronger. Gu Xiaoxi bit the tip of his tongue hard with his teeth. It didn't hurt. It was probably a dream. Chief Zhou's angry voice suddenly sounded, "You two, it's better for you to leave quickly. This man and woman were caught on the spot for adultery in broad daylight. According to the rules of the clans, we have to execute them to avoid bringing shame to the clan. If you insist on interfering, not to mention that the people in our clan don't agree, even your reputation will be affected." The threat in his eyes was obvious. One had to know that the actions of the two people who saved the adulterous couple could not be said to serve justice. Gu Yundong looked at him sharply. "What adultery? Didn't you hear them say that they were wrong just now? The government office convicts people, and the criminals have to admit their crimes and sign the papers. But you guys, you ignored the person involved and came to kill them after discussing it among yourselves. Are you guys all right? You even said that you're the head of a clan. I think you're more like retards. You, miss, don't push your luck." Chief Zhou was annoyed. "We have evidence." "Evidence? What evidence?" Gu Yundong sneered and pointed at Hong Xiaoni. "The evidence you're talking about can't be her testimony, right? She said that she saw them in bed with her own eyes, and you believe her? Then they'll say that she didn't like Gu Xiaoxi because he was too poor and wanted to get rid of him to find another man. That's why she deliberately framed him." Gu Yundong was just saying it casually. Unexpectedly, Hong Xiaoni's expression changed drastically and she suddenly lowered her head. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1107, What physical evidence is this? Gu Yundong narrowed her eyes. This was interesting. She suddenly looked at Chief Chang. "I think you should think about it carefully." Chief Chang was a little surprised to be suddenly mentioned. "What are you thinking about?" "Think about what kind of person this girl from your Chang family is. Think about who suffered the most from this matter. Think about what is unreasonable about this matter." Gu Yundong smiled. "For example, the so-called witness is someone from the Zhou family. But the ones being persecuted are an outsider and a lady from the Chang family." Chief Chang's pupils constricted as he looked at the girl in front of him in surprise. From the meaning of her words, she should have heard everything from the outside of the window from the beginning, and she extracted the source of the matter from such a small piece of information. Previously, Chief Chang had been suppressed and scolded by the Zhou family. His mind was in a mess, especially since they had confirmed all the charges without giving them time to think and react. Next, they talked about compensation and punishment. At that time, Chief Chang only had one thought in his heart. He could not let this matter affect the reputation of the other girls in his clan. The sooner this matter was settled, the better. The other members of the Chang family had the same thought. They forced him to make a decision quickly, which resulted in this outcome. However, now that he had jumped out to take a look at the entire incident, he actually felt that something was wrong. Seeing him like this, Chief Zhou was furious. He pointed at Gu Yundong and said, "What do you mean?" Of course, Xiaoni is not the only one with evidence. There's also physical evidence. What's the physical evidence? We found Gu Xiaoxi's personal belongings in Chang Yaya's house. Gu Yundong laughed. What kind of physical evidence is this? It's just a personal item. Then, if I secretly take any woman's clothes from the courtyard and put them in your house, would you have an affair with that woman? Chief Zhou was so angry that he fell backward. He said angrily, "The pouch made by Chang Yaya has Gu Xiaoxi's name embroidered on the bottom." Gu Yundong smiled and looked at Chief Chang. Can Chang Yaya read? Chief Chang narrowed his eyes. No. Gu Yundong looked at Chief Zhou, who explained, "Just because she can't read doesn't mean she can't embroider words on the pouch. If she has the heart, what's wrong with embroidering according to a picture of Gu Xiaoxi's name? Then how can you be sure that the pouch was made by Chang Yaya? If someone wants to frame her, they can also place a pouch at her house." Chief Zhou gritted his teeth. But someone has seen Chang Yaya deliver food to Gu Xiaoxi before? That person is even a member of the Chang family. Chief Zhou looked at Chief Chang. The latter shook his hand. It was because of this last point that he finally gave in. Because the person who saw this scene was the son of one of the family's elders. This person could not be bribed. It was also the Zhou family who spoke aggressively first, causing this person to say this unintentionally. There was no room for negotiation. This last piece of evidence proved that they were indeed having an affair and that it was indeed disadvantageous to Chang Yaya and Gu Xiaoxi. Gu Yundong turned his head and looked at the girl leaning against the wall. The latter met her gaze and seemed to have regained hope. She said in a hoarse voice, "I did give something to Gu Xiaoxi, but it was for Xiaoni. I only asked him to pass it to her." Xiaoni immediately retorted in a sharp voice, "I don't even know you well. Why will you give me something? I'm from the Zhou family and you're from the Chang family. You don't even say a word. You're still using me as an excuse. Do you have a conscience? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1108, I'll add fuel to the fire. As she spoke, Xiaoni pounced at Chang Yaya. When she passed by Gu Xiaoxi, she even wanted to step on his hand. Gu Yundong was quick-witted and pushed Xiaoni away. "Get lost. Don't hurt my uncle." Xiaoni fell heavily to the ground, her tailbone almost broken. But even so, she still heard what she said clearly. Not only her, but everyone present was shocked by this shout. "Little uncle? Didn't Gu Xiaoxi have no relatives? How could she have relatives? How was that possible?" Chief Zhou couldn't help but look at Xiaoni, who also looked stunned. After a while, her lips trembled slightly as she said, You're his niece?" Gu Yun, yes, my name is Gu Yundong." Xiaoni gasped. Yes, that was the name. It was a name that Gu Xiaoxi often mentioned. But how was that possible? How could the children and a foolish woman survive that disaster? Xiaoni was in a daze, but Gu Yundong could no longer care about her. Because Gu Xiaoxi had a fever, he was in a daze. His eyes were half closed and he couldn't even make a sound. Gu Yundong quickly took the fever medicine from her space and fed it to him. Xiao Qingyuan still had a water bag hanging from his waist, so he untied it and gave him 2 sips of water. Gu Yundong blamed himself. "When I patted Uncle's arm just now, I didn't feel that his body temperature was too high. I didn't expect him to have a fever so soon. I shouldn't have talked so much with them. I should have taken him away directly." If you don't talk to them, we won't be able to take uncle away at all. If you talk to them about this, at least, he glanced at Chief Chang and laughed. It'll be much easier for us to take him away. Xiao Qingyuan patted Gu Yundong. Take care of uncle. I'll add fuel to the fire for Chief Chang. We have to take him away quickly. This place is cold and damp. It's not suitable for recuperation. Okay. Xiao Qingyuan stood up and looked at the people in the room. Only then did he realize that 2 people were missing. They must have gone out to call for help. It did not matter. Even if the Zhou family came, the situation might not be beneficial to them. He looked at Chief Zhou and said, "Aren't you bullying Gu Xiaoxi because he's alone and has no one to help him?" Unfortunately, he's not alone anymore. He's our uncle. If you want to kill him, you have to ask if we agree. For a moment, Chief Zhou was speechless. He was frantically calculating the gains and losses in his heart. He had never expected things to develop to such an extent. Gu Xiaoxi's niece had appeared out of nowhere, and this niece was so domineering. No, they definitely couldn't let Gu Xiaoxi leave. Once he left, everything they had done previously would be for naught. So what if she was his niece? So what if they had bows and arrows in their hands? Outside the Zhou family's ancestral hall were their people. Thinking of this, a trace of ruthlessness flashed in Chief Zhou's eyes. Footsteps came from behind. The villagers who were outside the ancestral hall rushed in with hoes and shovels, instantly crowding the door of the house. Chief Zhou took a step back and said, "Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya have indeed done something unforgivable. If you 2 outsiders want to interfere in the matters of our village, don't even think about leaving this ancestral hall today. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1109. We're not leaving. As he spoke, Chief Zhou waved his hand and said to the villagers behind him, "Arrest these 2 people who deliberately caused trouble and trespassed into the Zhou family's ancestral hall." The villagers behind him were eager to give it a try, but the Chang clansman could not help but look at Chief Chang, who was a little hesitant. Just as he was not sure which side he was on, Xiao Qingyuan suddenly took out something and slammed it forward. "Let's see who dares to come over." The villagers were shocked by his aura and stopped in their tracks. They looked at the thing in Xiao Qingyuan's hand. They didn't recognize it. However, he did not recognize it. The expressions of the heads of the Zhou and Chang families changed drastically after taking a look. Xiao Qingyuan looked at them. "The 2 patriarchs are knowledgeable. You should know this thing, right?" Fish talisman. Chief Zhou's pupils constricted. He raised his head and asked in shock, You are?" Chief Chang's eyes lit up and he instantly stood his ground. If the 2 of them were a man and a woman without any background or foundation, after they barged into the Great Rock village alone and even openly expressed their relationship with Gu Xiaoxi, they did not take the 2 clansmen seriously at all. They were brave but not resourceful. Moreover, they were alone and did not have much use. Even if Patriarch Chang was on their side, they did not have the confidence to win. However, things were different now. This person had a fish talisman and was an official of the imperial court. Since they were Gu Xiaoxi's relatives, they definitely wouldn't let Gu Xiaoxi bear the crime of adultery. They would definitely let him be innocent. Since Gu Xiaoxi's crime was gone, the crime of adultery with Chang Yaya was naturally not established. Then, they would be able to take back all the benefits that the Chang family had given to the Zhou family. However, the fierceness in Chief Zhou's eyes intensified. However, he did not dare to harm the officials of the imperial court. If these 2 people dared to come to Great Rock Village alone, their people must be waiting not far away. After Xiao Qingyuan added fuel to the fire, he turned around and squatted down, carrying Gu Xiaoxi on his back. Gu Yundong thought for a moment and helped Chang Yaya up. Chang Yaya looked at her in surprise. Gu Yundong smiled at her. "Let's go. We'll talk outside." However, Chief Zhou gritted his teeth and stood in front of them. He said indignantly, "You can't leave. Even if you're an official of the imperial court, it's a fact that Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya have committed adultery. Even if we can't carry out the death sentence, they have to be punished according to the rules. Xiao Qingyuan looked at Chief Chang. What do you think? Chief Chang laughed. I heard it clearly just now. The few pieces of evidence are indeed a little shaky. As for the last piece of evidence, now that Chang Yaya and Hong Xiaoni both have their own arguments, no one can be convinced. I think this matter needs to be investigated again. After all, human lives are at stake. We can't act rashly. No matter what, we have to let the truth be revealed. Chief Zhou, don't you think so? You, this shameless old thief. However, the other elders of the Chang family nodded repeatedly. That makes sense. I felt that something is wrong. There's indeed a need to investigate again. Of course. Chief Chang turned to Xiao Qingyuan and said, before the truth comes out, you can't leave Great Rock Village. After all, Gu Xiaoxi is still a suspect. Of course we won't leave. I won't let my uncle leave dejectedly with great injustice on his back. I will bring my uncle away fair and square, Gu Yundong said with narrowed eyes. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:10, She's guarding against him, but my uncle is injured and has a high fever. This Zhou family's ancestral hall is obviously not suitable for recuperation. Can Chief Chang arrange a place for us to stay in temporarily? As Gu Yundong spoke, she saw that Chief Zhou was about to object and immediately stopped him. Of course, if Chief Zhou is worried, you and Chief Chang can find a few villagers to watch over us. We promise not to leave. Well, wait for you to find out the truth. How about that? Not so good. Chief Zhou naturally wanted to refuse. Unfortunately, Chief Chang had agreed, and the two people in front of him were so domineering. If he stopped them again, everyone would think that he had a guilty conscience. Therefore, he could only nod in agreement with a dark expression. The two chiefs had no objections, and the villagers automatically made way. Xiao Qingyuan carried Gu Xiaoxi, who was half unconscious, and Gu Yundong helped Chang Yaya out of the Zhou family's ancestral hall. In the end, the heads of the Zhou and Chang families agreed to let them stay at Gu Xiaoxi's house for the time being. Although Gu Xiaoxi had brought Hong Xiaoni to seek refuge with her uncle back then, he had no intention of marrying into her family. Hence, he built a house himself. Although it was not big, it was much better than living in someone else's house. Hong Xiaoni temporarily moved into her uncle Zhou Jinggua's house. Gu Yundong, Xiao Qingyuan, Gu Xiaoxi, and Chang Yaya stayed in the Gu house. Of course, the Zhou and Chang families also sent 3 people to watch over the courtyard. They also sent 3 people to guard the outside of the courtyard. Gu Yundong was also very speechless. Did these villagers have nothing better to do? Were there no jobs in the fields? Chief Chang was now on Gu Yundong's side, and Xiao Qingyuan was an official of the imperial court, so his attitude was very good. Seeing that Gu Xiaoxi was injured and sick, he hurriedly asked, "There's a doctor in our village. I'll get someone to invite him over." Xiao Qingyuan refused. "No need. We can treat him ourselves." He was already familiar with the treatment of such common illnesses. He was probably even better than the doctors in the village. Chief Chang looked at him in surprise. He nodded and left with Chief Zhou. Xiao Qingyuan sent them out. However, just as they stepped out of the door, he suddenly stopped and released a firework bomb into the air. The firework shot up with a whoosh and exploded in the sky. The Zhou and Chang clan chiefs were shocked and looked at him in shock. Xiao Qingyuan was expressionless. "It's nothing. I just told my subordinates that we're safe for the time being. If they don't receive my signal tomorrow, they can bring people in to search the village." Pfft, Chief Zhou sucked in a breath of cold air. He was guarding against him. Chief Chang, on the other hand, was very happy. He turned around and left. Xiao Qingyuan went straight back to the house. The fireworks were naturally not meant to inform his subordinates. He only told the coachman waiting outside the village to return to the inn first and come back tomorrow. He and Gu Yundong would be prepared when they entered such a village where the clansmen were united. If they encountered danger, there would be more than one firework bomb. When the coachman saw it, he would report to the officials for him. Gu Xiaosi was still having a fever in the house. After Xiao Qingyuan came in, he quickly checked on him. After taking Gu Yundong's fever medicine, his temperature was slowly decreasing, but there were still many injuries on his body. He let Gu Yundong and Chang Yaya go out first, then bandaged Gu Xiaosi's wound. Gu Yundong had wanted to ask about Chang Yaya, but she looked haggard and her lips were dry. She must have been hungry for the past 2 days. The Zhou family was too inhumane. Youngest uncle's situation was probably the same, so Gu Yundong went straight into the kitchen. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:11. Don't worry, I'll accompany you. Chang Yaya followed behind her, but her body was on the verge of collapse. Gu Yundong did not let her work. She searched the kitchen for a long time before she finally found a small bag of sweet potatoes. Gu Yundong frowned and squatted on the ground. Seeing this, Chang Yaya thought that she did not know how to cook and was about to say that she would do it herself. Unexpectedly, Gu Yundong suddenly stood up and said to the guards in the courtyard, I need rice, millet, white flour, and some vegetables. Which family has them? I don't need too much. The 6 people in the courtyard looked at each other. For a moment, no one spoke. Gu Yundong could only take out a small piece of silver. I'm paying. My family has it. The first to speak were a few members of the Chang family. Before the patriarch left, he had instructed that although they were watching over people, these 2 were on the same side with them. They would help if they could. The most important thing was to guard against the 3 from the Zhou clan. The people of the Zhou family and the other 2 were actually envious. The Great Rock village was very poor. Who wouldn't want to earn money? However, this person had trespassed into the Zhou family's ancestral hall. His crimes were unforgivable, so when he saw the people of the Chang family taking the money obsequiously, he immediately mocked, how embarrassing. You've never seen the world. The 3 Chang family members turned around and glared at them. Why? Do you want to fight? Yeah, let's fight. Gu Yundong, in the end, they did not fight. All 3 of them had leaders and knew that now was not the time to cause trouble. The Chang family went back to get the things she wanted, but the quality of the things they brought was a little poor. However, they had no choice. This was probably the best rice and noodles they had. Later, when Chang Yaya was not paying attention, she would take out a portion of the food in the space to exchange for it. She took the things into the kitchen and let the weak Chang Yaya sit behind the stove to help set up the fire. The 6 people in the courtyard were a little puzzled. Did this girl know how to cook? Did she know how to use the stove in the countryside? Why did she look so unreliable? However, very quickly, the sound of vegetables being cut could be heard from the kitchen. Then, there was another sound. Not long after, the fragrance wafted out. The 6 of them sniffed hard. So fragrant, so fragrant. It's much more fragrant than my wife's. What is this made of? They did not enter the kitchen to take a look, but it was also very torturous in the courtyard. Gu Yundong cooked porridge and a few light dishes. Although there was no meat, the Chang family brought her a fish. It was quite fresh and should have just been caught out of the water. Gu Yundong steamed the fish. After all, she had to prioritize taking care of the 2 injured. By the time the porridge was ready, the 4 dishes and the soup were also done. Gu Yundong carried the food back to the room. When she passed by the courtyard, the fragrance made the 6 of them swallow their saliva. They had not eaten lunch yet. Why had their wives not sent food over? When she entered the house, she saw Xiao Qingyuan pouring out a basin of water. Gu Xiaosi's injuries were all right. It was said that she was caught in bed for adultery. Perhaps because she was covered by a blanket when she was beaten up, she did not have any internal injuries. It was just that her external injuries were a little serious. It was mainly because his body was already sick from overwork. After being beaten up, he was locked in the dark ancestral hall to be exposed to the wind. He starved for 2 days before he fell unconscious with a fever. Gu Yundong's expression darkened when she heard Xiao Qingyuan's words. "I'll get this back. Don't worry, I'll accompany you." Xiao Qingyuan held her hand gently. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 11-12. It's really Yundong. Chang Yaya looked at the friendship and tacit understanding between the two of them, and a trace of envy subconsciously flashed in her eyes. At this moment, a faint sound came from the bed. Gu Yundong quickly turned her head and saw Gu Xiaosi frowning and opening his eyes with a heavy heart. He looked up at the roof beams, his face blank. This was his home? Why was he here? Wasn't he in the Zhou family's ancestral hall? Wasn't he going to be burned to death as a warning to others? Could it be that he was already dead, but his soul had floated to his house? Why didn't he float to the netherworld and let him find his eldest brother and niece? Something was wrong. Gu Xiaosi suddenly frowned. In the ancestral hall, he seemed to have vaguely heard a voice saying that she was Yundong and calling him little uncle, uncle, uncle. Gu Yundong called him twice, but realized that he had been in a daze and had no reaction. She immediately became anxious. Could it be that she was confused by the high fever? But it had only been such a short time. How could it be? "Uncle, can you hear me? Are you feeling unwell?" This time, the voice was clearer. Gu Xiaosi was shocked. His eyes darted around and landed on Gu Yundong's face. Yundong? Gu Yundong heaved a huge sigh of relief and laughed happily. "It's me, uncle. I'm Yundong. Don't worry, I'll take you away from the ancestral hall. It's just that you're running a high fever now, so we'll stay in Great Rock Village. When you're better, we'll bring you home." He heard it clearly. This time, he heard everything clearly. Gu Xiaosi sat up abruptly. Halfway through, he suddenly felt dizzy and fell back heavily. Halfway down, he was supported by Xiao Qingyuan. "Uncle, you're sick. Don't move around and don't be too agitated." How could he not be excited? After the dizziness subsided, Gu Xiaosi grabbed Gu Yundong's hand. Her eyes were moist and her cheeks were red. "It's really Yundong. You're not dead." No. Gu Yundong could only sit on the edge of the bed and comfort him. "I'm not the only one who's not dead. My mother, Yunshu, and Yunka are all fine. They've both grown taller now. Oh right, there's also my father and eldest aunt's father, Yuanji. They're in the Xuanhe prefecture now. We haven't returned to the Gu family village. We've been looking for you for the past 2 years, but we haven't heard from you. This time, when we accidentally found out that you were in Great Rock Village, father and eldest aunt clamored to pick you up. However, I persuaded them to go home and I came here on their behalf." Home. Gu Xiaosi could no longer control himself. Tears streamed down his face and he could not wipe them away even if he wanted to. He was actually not old. In the past, when he was in Gu village, even though his mother did not like him, his elder brothers and sisters doted on him like a son. Even though he suffered, he still had a sharp spirit. However, in the 2 years since he escaped from the famine, be it psychologically or physically, he had been living like an old man, numb day after day. However, after seeing Yundong and hearing her say that everyone was safe, this numbness seemed to have been swept away. Gu Xiaosi felt that the shackles on his body were instantly removed, and he felt unprecedentedly relaxed and carefree. He wanted to go home, especially. Gu Yundong took out a handkerchief and handed it to him. "Uncle, it's all right. We'll be reunited when you get home." "Yes, let's go home. Let's go home." He took the handkerchief and wiped it forcefully. After wiping it, he felt embarrassed and asked impatiently, "Yundong, when did you arrive at Xuanhe Prefecture? How did you meet eldest brother and eldest sister? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:13, Nephew-in-law of the same age. Gu Yundong was helpless. Didn't he know that he was still sick? Wouldn't he feel dizzy and uncomfortable after asking so many questions? Uncle, there's no hurry. I'll tell you slowly. We have other things to settle now. Have you forgotten? Gu Xiaosi was stunned. That's right, they were still in Great Rock Village. He suddenly became nervous. Yundong, leave quickly. The Zhou family wants to kill me this time. I'll implicate you. Don't worry, we brought you out of the ancestral hall. We definitely have a way to escape. As for you, eat something and recuperate well. Then tell me the cause and effect of the matter. We'll discuss it together. Xiao Qingyuan handed over a bowl of porridge at the right time. Gu Yundong scooped a small spoonful and blew on it before feeding it to Gu Xiaosi. Gu Xiaoxi's gaze landed on Xiao Qingyuan, who was behind her. This is Xiao Qingyuan, my fiancé. We're already engaged. Gu Xiaoxi's eyes suddenly widened. If he hadn't been leaning against the headboard, he would have fallen back onto the bed. Engaged? He was instantly nervous, especially when he saw that Xiao Qingyuan seemed to be very well off. He was afraid that he would embarrass Gu Yundong, so he did not dare to speak for a moment. Seeing this, Xiao Qingyuan thought for a moment and took the bowl from Gu Yundong's hand. He said, "I'll feed uncle. Go eat first. We'll talk about other things after that." Gu Yundong nodded, got up, and walked to the table. She first served a bowl to the motionless Chang Yaya. Chang Yaya was stunned. She raised her head and looked at her in surprise. "Eat it. I see that you don't have any strength at all. Drink some to warm your stomach first. No matter what, we're on the same side now. You can't starve to death before we wash off the dirty water on you." Chang Yaya pursed her lips and reached out to take it. She lowered her head and whispered, "Thank you." Gu Yundong did not say anything else. She and Chang Yaya faced each other and ate quietly. Seeing that she only ate porridge, Gu Yundong sighed and could only put a large piece of food into her bowl. Chang Yaya lowered her head even more. Beside the bed, Xiao Qingyuan and Gu Xiaosi fell into a strange silence. Gu Xiaosi looked at her nephew-in-law, who was about the same age as her, who was holding a spoon carefully. She instantly felt even more dizzy. Fortunately, Xiao Qingyuan was patient. As he fed him, he whispered to divert his attention. "Uncle, don't worry. Although the Zhou family and the Chang family are the main forces in Great Rock Village, as long as they don't get along, they will be like loose sand and won't pose much of a threat to us. Now that the Chang family is on our side, the Zhou family won't have an advantage and won't be able to gain anything. Moreover, we have helpers. If we really can't leave, the government office will send people to deal with this matter." Sure enough, Gu Xiaosi listened to him. Not long after, he finished half a bowl of porridge. When he was almost done eating, Xiao Qingyuan came back with a bowl and started to finish his lunch. Gu Xiaosi leaned against the headboard of the bed and could not help but smile when he saw his niece busy and lively. Gu Yundong closed the door after seeing that he was in better spirits and that the heat had almost subsided. The 6 people outside the door were only asked to watch from the courtyard, so although they found it strange that the prisoners closed the door and wanted to say something, with the other party holding them back, no one dared to eavesdrop. Gu Yundong and the others formed a circle and began to talk about the whole story of the adultery case. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:14, Suspicious Hong Xiaoni. Gu Xiaosi had followed Hong Xiaoni to Great Rock Village to seek refuge with her uncle. However, the Zhou family did not welcome them. A niece they had never seen before had suddenly come all the way to their house to be taken care of. She had even brought Gu Xiaosi along. Wasn't that causing trouble? However, the Zhou family had a sworn enemy in the village, the Chang family. Gu Xiaoxi and Hong Xiaoni were both refugees. At that time, the imperial court had special treatment for refugees. If the Chang family made an issue out of this matter, wouldn't the Zhou family be in trouble? Hence, the Zhou family left Hong Xiaoni and Gu Xiaoxi behind. At that time, Gu Xiaoxi had not given up on looking for Gu Yundong's family. Hence, she did not plan to stay in the village at the start. He thought that if the Zhou family treated Hong Xiaoni well, he would temporarily entrust the Zhou family to take care of her. If not, he would take Hong Xiaoni with him. It was obvious that the Zhou family treated Hong Xiaoni very badly. They had lived in the Zhou family for 2 days, but they had been tortured openly and secretly. Gu Xiaoxi had promised Father Hong that he would take care of Hong Xiaoni, so he wanted to leave with her. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Hong Xiaoni fell ill. She was so ill that she almost couldn't make it. How could Gu Xiaoxi leave? She could only stay and take care of her while thinking of ways to earn money to support her family. However, Hong Xiaoni's illness never recovered. It wasn't until a year later that Gu Xiaoxi realized that something was wrong. He vaguely felt that Hong Xiaoni might not be that seriously ill. She was just afraid that he would leave and go to the Gu family, so she used this method to drag him and let him settle down in Great Rock Village. However, he had no evidence. In any case, the doctor had sworn that Hong Xiaoni was not in good health and could not go through a long journey. However, even if he confirmed that Hong Xiaoni was pretending to be sick, he couldn't blame her. After all, he had promised Father Hong that he would take care of her. Hong Xiaoni was just afraid. He had let down his eldest brother. If he failed Father Hong's mission again, how could he have the face to live? The days passed unhurriedly until a few days ago, Gu Xiaoxi realized that Hong Xiaoni had suddenly gotten close to Zhou Jingui. When she asked her, she said that her eldest uncle had suddenly realized that he had to treat her well, so he would occasionally call her over to talk to her aunt. However, eldest uncle didn't like Gu Xiaoxi. He felt that the two of them had been too hasty back then. Moreover, her father had died to save Gu Xiaoxi. Eldest uncle seemed to be venting his anger on her. Hence, Hong Xiaoni did not bring Gu Xiaoxi to eldest uncle's house for the time being. After he persuaded eldest uncle, the two of them would visit as husband and wife. Gu Xiaoxi was quite happy when she heard that. After all, Zhou Jingui and his brother were Hong Xiaoni's closest relatives in Great Rock Village. It would naturally be good if they could ease their relationship. He didn't think much of it and also advised her to visit her uncle more often. It was good for her health. Unexpectedly, 2 days ago, he felt uncomfortable, so he did not get off the bed. He lay on the bed to rest and asked Hong Xiaoni to help call the village doctor. Hong Xiaoni agreed and went out. Unexpectedly, she did not return for a long time. Gu Xiaoxi lay in the house and waited for a long time before she finally fell asleep in a daze. He vaguely heard some movement in the middle, but his eyelids were too heavy at that time and he could not open them at all. When he woke up again, he saw Chang Yaya lying beside him in only her undergarments. Before he could react, the door was suddenly pushed open and Hong Xiaoni entered. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:15. They are friends. Not only did Hong Xiaoni come in, but she also appeared with the village doctor. She didn't even give Gu Xiaoxi time to react before she rushed over and hit them. Chang Yaya also woke up. The wound on her face was dug by Hong Xiaoni's fingernail. After the commotion, the Zhou family, who had heard the commotion outside, rushed in. Zhou Jingui even brought his son and beat him up fiercely. In the end, he tied the two of them up. Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya were dumbfounded. Then, Hong Xiaoni burst into tears. The two chiefs rushed over and shouted at them. The villagers pointed at them. Gu Xiaoxi subconsciously said that he was wronged. He only said that he was unwell and was lying on the bed. That was all he said when he woke up. However, the doctor took his pulse and said that his body was healthy and there was no problem. The two of them were caught in bed and brought to the Zhou family's ancestral hall for 2 days and 2 nights. Gu Yundong and Xiao Qingyuan frowned. Why do I feel that this doctor is quite suspicious? Is he from the Zhou family? No, he's an outsider. There were outsiders in the village, but the possibility of them being bribed was also very high. Gu Yundong could not help but look at Chang Yaya. What about you? When we were talking about evidence, you said that you had sent something to my uncle. What was that about? Chang Yaya smiled bitterly. I was deceived by Hong Xiaoni. I didn't have many friends since I was young. When Hong Xiaoni took the initiative to approach me, although I was puzzled, she said that her uncle was a member of the Zhou family and she wasn't. Her maiden family's surname was Hong, and her in-law's surname was Gu. Therefore, she didn't want to get involved in the Zhou and Chang family's matters. She only wanted to live her own life and make friends. Chang Yaya was quite happy. Just like that, the two of them quietly became friends. However, she did not tell anyone. After all, in the eyes of outsiders, Hong Xiaoni was a member of the Zhou family. She had not had an easy time in Great Rock Village, and Chang Yaya did not want her to be blamed by her uncle's family. She had been wholeheartedly planning for Hong Xiaoni, but she did not expect to be tricked. She didn't know why Gu Xiaoxi's undergarments would appear in her house, but it was too easy for someone to put them in her house. She didn't know why Gu Xiaoxi's name was embroidered on her purse. She had indeed embroidered that purse, but one day, she suddenly couldn't find it. When it appeared again, she only heaved a sigh of relief and didn't look carefully at the very small words embroidered on the purse. But no one believed her. As for her sending food to Gu Xiaoxi, that was because Hong Xiaoni said that she suddenly wanted to eat the pickled radishes she made. Her appetite had not been good recently, and her mouth was tasteless. As a friend, Chang Yaya naturally ran home in a hurry to make pickled radishes for her. However, when she brought the pickled radishes over, she was not at home. Only Gu Xiaoxi was there. She handed the bowl of pickled radishes to Gu Xiaoxi and asked him to pass it to her. However, in the eyes of outsiders, she was the one who took the initiative to stuff the food into the hands of the confused Gu Xiaoxi. However, Chang Yaya remembered that no one was nearby at that time. Who would have thought that an elder's son happened to pass by and saw it? The encounter had become evidence of others saying that they had a private relationship. Gu Yundong tapped her fingers on the table. So you appeared at the Gu house 2 days ago to look for Hong Xiaoni? Yes, she said that there's no one at home. There's a very rare thing at home. I'm her friend, so she specially brought me to see it. In the end, after drinking a glass of water at the Gu residence, she felt dizzy. How could she not understand now? This was all planned by Hong Xiaoni. At this moment, Hong Xiaoni was also in the Zhou family, anxiously thinking of a countermeasure with Zhou Jingui and the others. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:16, Zhou family's plan. None of the Zhou clansmen expected that something like this would suddenly appear out of nowhere. Moreover, it was such a powerful figure that they were helpless against. In an instant, they felt extremely aggrieved. Chief Zhou was especially angry. He asked Hong Xiaoni, "That's really Gu Xiaoxi's niece? Are you sure?" She said that her name is Gu Yundong, so there's no mistake. Hong Xiaoni said, "She looks about the same age. I reckon that she met a benefactor on the way to escape. That's why she's living so well." Speaking of this, Hong Xiaoni was a little jealous. They were both in their teens, but why did she meet a good-for-nothing man like Gu Xiaoxi? The heavens were unfair to her. Zhou Jingui was a little anxious. "Patriarch, now is not the time to talk about this. Previously, Patriarch Chang said that he would bring over the food that was compensated to us, but in the end, he doesn't want to anymore. Things are not good for us. If we have to compensate them instead, we will suffer a huge loss." "Alright, you don't have to remind me." "I know," Chief Zhou said impatiently. He was even more frustrated as he tapped his fingers on the table. After a while, he asked the 3 elders, "What do you think? What other ideas can there be?" I told you we shouldn't have acted so recklessly back then. The Chang family isn't stupid. After this matter is over, they will find out. When the time comes, Patriarch Zhou slammed the table and his eyes widened. What's the use of saying this now? You've already done it. Can you reverse the time? The elder shut his mouth and didn't dare to speak. The other elders also said softly, I think it's better to just let it go and say that it's a misunderstanding. I think that couple definitely won't let Gu Xiaoxi be charged with adultery. That man is an official of the imperial court and especially values his reputation. Chief Zhou was also thinking about this, which was why he was in such a dilemma. However, it was easier said than done to say that it was a misunderstanding. The Chang family would be the first to force them to bleed. Knock, knock. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Zhou Jingui went to open the door. The person who came in was a villager guarding the Gu family's courtyard. Chief Zhou asked him, what happened to them? Nothing much happened. They just spent 1 tael of silver to buy some rice, noodles, fish, and vegetables from the Chang family. The villager who spoke sounded a little jealous. In the end, he asked, Chief, if they buy something again, can we sell food to them? Chief Zhou waved his hand. If I tell you to watch over them, just watch over them. Why are you staring at that small sum of money? The villagers could only leave. However, as soon as he left, the few people in the room started discussing. They gave 1 tael of silver for just some rice, noodles, and fish dishes. They're really generous. That's right. That man is an official. One look and I can tell that the two of them are dressed well. Their family definitely doesn't lack money. I thought Gu Xiaoxi had no relatives or friends. I didn't expect him to have such a rich niece now. The few of them were whispering to each other. Chief Zhou's face was ashen. On the other hand, Zhou Jinggui's eyes suddenly lit up. He said softly, actually, there's another way. What way? Tell me. Seeing how confident he was, Chief Zhou was immediately interested. Zhou Jingui glanced at Hong Xiaoni and said, Xiaoni is still Gu Xiaoxi's wife now. Wouldn't that couple be her juniors? As long as Xiaoni and Gu Xiaoxi live a good life in the future, everyone will be a family. How can a family not help each other? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:17, Unwilling to be divorced. Chief Zhou instantly perked up. You mean, Chief, not only is that man and woman rich and powerful, they're much better than the Chiu family in the county. Moreover, that woman seems to be very concerned about Gu Xiaoxi, her uncle. She definitely won't treat him badly in the future. When Xiaoni follows her husband, won't she have a good life? We can also have some soup. Chief Zhou lowered his eyes and pondered. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it would work. Among their clansmen, there was a big shot who was an official of the imperial court. Was there a need to be afraid of not being able to suppress the Chang family? They would probably be in charge of the entire Great Rock village. The problem was, he looked at Hong Xiaoni. Is Gu Xiaoxi still willing to be her husband? However, Hong Xiaoni was full of confidence. Chief, don't worry. I know Gu Xiaoxi. He promised my father that he would take care of me and he won't go back on his word. Moreover, he didn't know that I was involved in this matter from the beginning to the end. Even in the ancestral hall just now, I only said that she was lying to Chang Yaya. In front of Gu Xiaoxi, she had always looked like she was heartbroken and had never revealed anything in front of him. As for Chang Yaya? So what if she told the truth? I just have to insist that she's lying and that she seduced my husband. We're not friends at all. I'm Gu Xiaoxi's wife who has been together for nearly 2 years. Chang Yaya has only known Gu Xiaoxi for a few days. He'll definitely believe me. Chief Zhou thought about it and felt that it made sense. That's fine too. Take the initiative to look for Gu Xiaoxi. Tell her that you were too impulsive previously and didn't believe him. Now that you've come to your senses, you realize that he's also a victim. Go and apologize properly and ask him to forgive you. There's no overnight feud between husband and wife. He's also an honest person. If his heart softens, he'll forgive you. When the time comes, he'll push all the blame to Chang Yaya. Gu Xiaoxi is innocent, so that couple naturally won't continue to harp on it. After all, you're their little auntie. They still want you and Gu Xiaoxi to be harmonious. Helping you is better than helping an outsider. Hong Xiaoni nodded. I'll go now. She was eager to give it a try. Under the subtle instructions of Chief Zhou and Zhou Jingui, her eyes were red and swollen. She carried a basket of vegetables and walked out of the Zhou family's door. Hong Xiaoni's expression was sad, but her footsteps were light. That's right, she had indeed set Gu Xiaoxi up with the Zhou family. For the past 2 years, Hong Xiaoni had almost never been to the fields because of her illness. Most of the work at home was done by Gu Xiaoxi. Hence, her skin was fair and tender at home. Other than being a little thin from eating too much, she looked better than the women in the village. A few days ago, Aunt wanted to go to the county to buy something, so she found an excuse to go with her. She had been in Great Rock Village for nearly 2 years, but she had only gone to the county twice or thrice because Gu Xiaoxi felt that she was weak and did not allow her to go out. This time, with eldest aunt around, he agreed. Unexpectedly, she met the young master of the Zhou family the moment she arrived at the county city. Coincidentally, the young master of the Zhou family liked her weak and delicate appearance. He immediately wanted to take her as his concubine. The Zhou family in the county was a wealthy family. Compared to Gu Xiaoxi, who was so poor that she only had 2 sets of clothes, it was better to be a maid in her family than in the Gu family. Therefore, Hong Xiaoni was tempted. However, she was already married, unless Gu Xiaoxi divorced her, which would affect her reputation. How could she be willing to be divorced? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:18, Hidden Thoughts. Zhou Jingui had given her a warning. He wanted Gu Xiaoxi to take the initiative to make a mistake. It would be best if she could directly kill Gu Xiaoxi. Anyway, no one would care even if he died. That was not all. Chief Zhou and Zhou Jingui felt that not only could they use this opportunity to get close to the Zhou family in the county, but they could also ruthlessly suppress the Chang family. After some selection, they had their eyes on Chang Yaya. Chang Yaya was a member of the Chang family, but her life was not very good. Her parents died when she was born. Her grandmother said that she was a jinx, causing her to have no friends since she was young. Even the Chang family avoided her. Grandmother Chang did not like this granddaughter, but she only had one son, and that was the only granddaughter her son left behind. Hence, while she beat and scolded Chang Yaya, she could only rely on her. It could be said that she destroyed Chang Yaya's reputation single-handedly, but she was also the one who raised Chang Yaya safely. 2 years ago, her grandmother passed away. She was the only one left in her family. Such a candidate could not be more suitable. Chang Yaya was already at the age of marriage and did not have any elders to help her. It was normal for her to fancy the hard-working and willing Gu Xiaoxi. The two of them would definitely not have a good ending after being caught in the act. At that time, Hong Xiaoni could say to the Zhou family, "My family is poor and doesn't have money to treat illnesses. My health fluctuates. Therefore, although I've been married to Gu Xiaoxi for nearly 2 years, I've never let him touch me. In the end, I didn't expect him to be unable to hold back and find another girl. He's free to look for her as long as he divorces me. He can look for anyone he wants. However, he's afraid of being chased out of Great Rock Village by the Zhou family, so he can only trap me while having an ambiguous relationship with another girl." Yes, Hong Xiaoni and Gu Xiaoxi had been married for nearly 2 years and were still innocent. It wasn't that Hong Xiaoni didn't want Gu Xiaoxi to touch her. It was just that she had started to pretend to be sick not long after she came to Great Rock Village. Gu Xiaoxi wasn't a beast who insisted on becoming husband and wife with her when she was still sick. However, Hong Xiaoni also wanted to leave a way out, so the two of them had been in name husband and wife for so long. Young Master Qiu had taken a fancy to her. When he heard that she was still a virgin, he would probably be even happier. All the plans had been carefully thought out. They lured Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya step by step into the trap. Seeing that Chief Chang could only retreat step by step, the Chang family members were suppressed until they could not raise their heads. Everything was perfect. As long as they went to the ancestral hall today and dragged the two of them out to be executed, the matter would be over. He didn't expect that the person who was most unlikely to be saved actually had such a powerful backer. However, it did not matter. Hong Xiaoni's eyes lit up. She was still Gu Xiaoxi's wife. The Qiu family in the county was a wealthy family, but Gu Xiaoxi's nephew-in-law was an official. It was another multiple-choice question. Of course, she chose to be an official with money. Moreover, she was the main wife after all. It was better than being a concubine. Most importantly, Hong Xiaoni had some hidden thoughts. She felt that man with a bow and arrow, who was an official of the imperial court at a young age, was handsome, majestic, and especially manly. He was much better than young Master Qiu. Perhaps he also liked a weak and boneless girl like her. Compared to the domineering Gu Yundong, she was much more feminine. Hong Xiaoni quickly walked to the Gu family's door. The people guarding outside frowned at her. Seeing that she was about to push the door open, the Chang family immediately stopped her. Wait. You're not going in there. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:19, Watch his wife and wash his eyes. Hong Xiaoni was stunned. I'm here to deliver some vegetables to my husband. There's nothing to eat at home. I'm afraid he'll starve. That won't do. They have food. They don't need you. Just go. Hong Xiaoni frowned. This is my house. Why can't I go in? The Zhou family members also started to help. That's right, that's right. The patriarch only asked us to watch over them, but he didn't say that they were criminals. Her husband is sick. As his wife, can't she come in to take a look? The people on both sides had different opinions, so they quickly quarreled. The four people who were talking in the room also heard it. Xiao Qingyuan stood up and said, "I'll go out and take a look." Be careful. Xiao Qingyuan left the house and walked towards the courtyard door. The villagers of the Zhou and Chang families were still arguing, but Hong Xiaoni saw her first. She immediately lowered her eyes and wanted to walk in, but after taking 2 steps, she suddenly fell to the ground. The people who were still arguing on both sides were stunned. Just now, they shouldn't have touched her, right? Did you bump into something? You didn't, did you? They might have accidentally pushed her. Otherwise, how could she have fallen? The Zhou family wanted to reach out to help her, but Hong Xiaoni quickly waved her hand. No need, no need. I can do it myself. Men and women shouldn't touch each other. I'll get up myself. She said that she would get up, but her eyes were on Xiao Qingyuan. She patted her hands weakly and placed the basket in front of her. She had no intention of getting up for a long time. Xiao Qingyuan was speechless. He turned around and left. His eyes hurt. He should go and see his wife to wash his eyes. He returned to the house in a hurry. Gu Yundong looked at him in surprise. What's wrong? Is there a dog chasing you? Xiao Qingyuan shook his head. It's nothing. Hong Xiaoni is here. Upon hearing Hong Xiaoni's name, Gu Xiaoxi's expression changed. Although he was not smart, he was not a fool. Actually, when he and Chang Yaya were locked in the ancestral hall at the same time, they had spoken to each other. At that time, he was more inclined to believe Chang Yaya. Now that the matter had been sorted out from beginning to end, and with Gu Yundong and Xiao Qingyuan's reminder, Gu Xiaoxi only felt that Hong Xiaoni was very terrifying. She was no different from those vicious people they had encountered on the way to escape. Those refugees could still be said to be forced by life and had no choice but to survive, but what about Hong Xiaoni? He raised her and took care of her and followed her, but in the end, he ended up being schemed against by her. If Yundong had come a day later, he and the innocent Chang Yaya would have lost their lives. How could Gu Xiaoxi not hate him? Gu Yundong patted his shoulder. Uncle, rest first. I'll go out and take a look. She's not a good person. Be careful not to be bitten by her. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. This time, when Gu Yundong went out, Xiaoni, who had fallen to the ground, had already gotten up. She never expected that when Xiao Qingyuan saw her fall, not only did he turn around and leave, he didn't even ask her about her condition. Xiaoni, what are you doing here? Gu Yundong walked up to her. Seeing that she was in a daze and her eyes were filled with disappointment, the corners of Gu Yundong's mouth could not help but twitch. Fortunately, Xiaoni knew why she was here. Even if she couldn't seduce Xiao Qingyuan, she had to grab Gu Xiaoxi. She looked at Gu Yundong and smiled kindly. Yundong, I'm your aunt. We met in the ancestral hall before. It was a mess, so I didn't have time to introduce myself. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:20. You're too ugly. Gu Yundong felt like her head was about to explode. Who are you to me? Make yourself clear. Don't take it for granted. Xiaoni tidied her clothes and said kindly, I know we don't have much to eat at home. I was afraid that you would be hungry, so I specially went to my eldest uncle's house to get some vegetables. She raised her arm and showed her the vegetables in the basket. Gu Yundong raised her eyebrows. They had already finished lunch. Wasn't it a little late for this woman to deliver food? Xiaoni was still talking. She acted like a kind and polite elder. Is your uncle all right? He fainted previously. I was too angry at that time and didn't notice that. I was really incompetent as a wife. By the way, I went to look for the doctor just now, but I heard that you don't need it. You can treat him yourself. How is he now? Is he awake? I'll go in and take care of him. As she spoke, she was about to walk in. The Zhou and Chang families did not stop her this time, afraid that they would knock her down again. Unexpectedly, Gu Yundong, who was standing behind the door, suddenly withdrew her hand. She was holding a wooden stick in her hand. She raised the wooden stick and pressed it against Xiaoni's stomach. Stop. Xiaoni, she looked up in shock. Yundong, why won't you let me in? Your uncle needs me. He'll definitely want to see me when he wakes up. No, my uncle doesn't want to see you at all. You're too ugly. I am ugly? Xiaoni screamed and reached out to touch her face. How was she ugly? How? The other people present looked at each other. Although Xiaoni was not as good-looking as Miss Gu, she was still considered a village belle in Great Rock Village. It was just that she was a little weak and it was not easy to have children. Unexpectedly, Gu Yundong nodded firmly. Yes, you're too ugly. Your heart is dirty. Aren't you ugly? Xiaoni's hand froze. She raised her head and laughed dryly. Yundong, do you have some misunderstanding about me? Did Chang Yaya say something? Let me tell you, she's lying. She wants to sow discord between us. I'm your aunt. Your uncle and I fled all the way here because we went through thick and thin together. I can't bear to part with him, and he can't bear to part with me. We're a very loving couple. Gu Yundong sneered. A loving couple? What do you mean by loving? Did you ask your eldest uncle to bring people to beat him up and throw him into the cold ancestral hall? Or did you mean that he was locked up and starved for 2 days, but you didn't even visit him? Or did you not even stop him when he was about to be burned to death by the 2 patriarchs? Xiaoni felt like she was being questioned and could not breathe. She could only continue to laugh dryly. I misunderstood that Xiaoxi did something to let me down. I understand now and know that he was wronged. It was Chang Yaya who seduced him. Gu Yundong nodded. Misunderstanding? What about before the misunderstanding? Look at you, then look at my uncle. One has been raised to be fair and tender, and the other is emaciated and weathered. One has warm and tidy clothes, and the other has thin clothes and has patches all over his body. One has been working all day, and the other has nothing to do every day and doesn't even wash her clothes. Is this called a loving couple? You're clearly using my uncle as a slave. Xiaoni's face turned pale, especially when she saw the meaningful gazes of the villagers standing beside her. However, she still stood where she was and explained softly, I was sick. The doctor said that I can't do heavy work and can only recuperate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:21. I'll beat him to death. Are you sick? What illness is so strange? Yundong retracted the stick. It just so happens that I'm a doctor. I'll take your pulse and see if I can completely heal you. Xiaoni didn't dare to let her take her pulse. She immediately took 2 steps back. No, there's no need. I'm fine. It's really timely. Do you think I'll believe you? Do you think I'm a fool? Yundong pressed closer. I don't think you're sick. You're simply sneaky, lazy, and scheming. Aren't you just bullying my uncle because he doesn't have any relatives by his side? You're really good. You've ruined him for 2 years and still dare to come to my door. Do you really think I don't have a temper? I'll return the debt to you on behalf of my uncle now. Slap. Yundong slapped her across the face. The more she spoke, the angrier she became. This woman was simply despicable. In particular, she had previously heard about the cause of Father Hong's death. Father Hong had injured his leg on the way to escape. When he encountered refugees who were fighting, he could not escape at all. However, Gu Xiaoxi happened to fall to the ground as well. Seeing a knife slashing over, Father Hong flipped over and pressed down on Gu Xiaoxi to block it for him. However, even if Father Hong didn't save Gu Xiaoxi, he wouldn't be able to escape and would still die. Father Hong didn't sacrifice himself to save Gu Xiaoxi. He found a way out for his daughter before he died. However, Yundong had to admit that it was a fact that he had saved Gu Xiaoxi. If he had not blocked the sword and given Gu Xiaoxi a chance to escape, Gu Xiaoxi would have been severely injured even if he survived. Therefore, Father Hong asked him to take good care of his daughter. He agreed and did it, but it was enough. The debt that Gu Xiaoxi owed Father Hong had been repaid ever since he sent Xiaoni safely to Great Rock Village and took care of her for so long, giving her a stable life. And Xiaoni had set him up and tried to kill him. She owed Gu Xiaoxi. Yundong's slap was to collect debts for his uncle. But Xiaoni was stunned, and so were the others. The Zhou clansmen wanted to stop him, but Yundong suddenly hit a vat under the courtyard wall with the stick in her hand. With a clatter, everyone was so frightened that they did not dare to move. Yundong's cold gaze swept across them one by one. Whoever dares to come up, I'll beat him to death. Everyone gulped. This little girl was too savage. Xiaoni also swallowed her saliva and looked at her in horror. Her voice was stuttering. No matter what, I'm still your aunt. Aren't you, unfilial? Aren't you afraid of ruining your reputation? Pa! Unexpectedly, Yundong slapped her again. Not anymore. My uncle has already divorced you. Xiaoni's cheeks were red, and her eyes were filled with hatred. How dare she? How dare she hit her again and again in front of everyone? This was Great Rock Village. However, this hatred disappeared in an instant. Because she saw Xiao Qingyuan come out. Xiao Qingyuan came out when he heard the commotion outside, but when he came out, he was holding a shoe. Xiaoni recognized these shoes. It was one of Gu Xiaoxi's only pair of shoes. Why did he take out Gu Xiaoxi's shoes? Was he trying to say that she was just a broken shoe? Just as she thought this, Xiao Qingyuan handed the shoe in his hand to Yundong. Didn't you use the sole of your shoe to slap people in the past? Why did you use your hand today? Does it hurt? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:22. These two people are abnormal. Gu Yundong shook his hand. It really hurt. I was too angry for a moment. I didn't expect this woman to be so shameless to come knocking on our door after doing so many bad things. I didn't have time to go back and get my shoes. Xiao Qingyuan said, "It's fine. I brought it over for you. Use it. Come in later and I'll apply some ointment for you. Your palm is red." Okay. Gu Yundong agreed and turned around. Hong Xiaoni looked at the two of them in horror. This was abnormal. These two were abnormal. They were simply crazy. She turned around and ran. She no longer cared about reconciling with Gu Xiaoxi or seducing Xiao Qingyuan. She only wanted to run far away. Otherwise, she would lose her life. As soon as Hong Xiaoni ran away, Gu Yundong could only say regretfully, "She really can't take a beating." Then, she went into the house with Xiao Qingyuan. The people outside couldn't help but swallow their saliva in shock. Could he do that? This was the first time they had seen a junior hit an elder so confidently. On the other hand, the Chang family members said mockingly, "Hey, Hong Xiaoni seems to be from your Zhou family, right? You didn't even stop them when she was beaten up like this." A trace of frustration flashed across the faces of the Zhou villagers. They were all shocked just now. How could they dare to attack? That's their own business. It's not easy for us to interfere with a fight between aunt and niece. That's right. It's a woman's matter. How can we pull them apart as men? The few of them found an excuse and felt at ease. Moreover, strictly speaking, Hong Xiaoni was not from their clan. Gu Yundong and Gu Xiaoxi returned to the house and saw Gu Xiaoxi looking at her with a complicated expression. Gu Yundong raised her eyebrows. Did I do something wrong just now? No. Between Gu Yundong and Hong Xiaoni, he was definitely on his niece's side. I just feel depressed. He couldn't put his finger on it, but it felt like a dream. A few days ago, the two of them were still concerned about each other as a couple under the same roof. In just a few days, they had become enemies. Gu Xiaoxi didn't have any feelings for Hong Xiaoni. He liked hard-working and kind-hearted girls. Hong Xiaoni was worlds apart from his ideal wife. It was a responsibility for him to work diligently to support her. Actually, to Gu Xiaoxi, who was only about 20 years old, this responsibility was like a mountain. It was very tiring for him to carry it on his shoulders. Now, there was a feeling of relief. Yundong, you hit her. I'm afraid Chief Zhou will come later. Hitting Hong Xiaoni in front of so many people was equivalent to slapping Chief Zhou's face. How could he not be angry? Gu Yundong smiled. I just want them to come. Gu Xiaoxi was puzzled. Gu Yundong laid him down. Don't worry about what happens next. You're still sick. Lie down and have a good sleep. By the time you recover, things will probably be over. Gu Xiaoxi was even more confused, but he was indeed tired. With Yundong and his fiancée by his side, he was indeed much more at ease. Not long after he lay down, he fell asleep. Gu Yundong turned to look at Chang Yaya. You haven't had a good rest for 2 days. The room next door is empty. Go and sleep. Don't worry, we're here. Chang Yaya hesitated for a moment. Is there anything I can do to help? Not at the moment. I'll let you know if I need to. Okay. Only then did Chang Yaya return to her room to rest. As expected, not long after, Chief Zhou brought Zhou Jingui over aggressively. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:23. Divorced. In order not to disturb Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya's rest, Gu Yundong and Xiao Qingyuan were the first to leave the courtyard. They spoke directly at the entrance. Before Chief Zhou could speak, Zhou Jingui had already pulled Hong Xiaoni and rushed to Gu Yundong. Miss Gu, what is the meaning of this? Our Xiaoni is returning to her own home. It's fine if you don't let her in, but you don't appreciate her kindness and even hit her when she sent food to you. Do you think there's no one left in our Zhou family? Gu Yundong looked at him coldly. It was this old thing who brought people to severely injure his uncle. How dare he criticize him? Chief Zhou also spoke. Lady Gu, you must give us an explanation. Explain? Sure, because of her. Gu Yundong pointed at Hong Xiaoni, who was standing behind Zhou Jingui. She humiliated me and took advantage of me. Everyone was speechless. How did she humiliate you? My uncle has already divorced her, but she still said that she's my aunt and kept calling me niece. If this isn't humiliation, what is? I'm about the same age as her, but she insists on demoting me by a generation. If she's not taking advantage of me, what is? Zhou Jingui was furious. Divorce? What right does Gu Xiaoxi have to divorce her? I don't agree. Why do you think? A person who has been married to her husband for 2 years has yet to consummate her marriage with him. I don't know what he's planning. Shouldn't my uncle divorce such a person? Everyone was in an uproar. No, it couldn't be. Gu Xiaoxi had never touched this Hong Xiaoni. Even Chief Zhou didn't know about this. He looked at Hong Xiaoni, whose face was red and swollen, in surprise. Chief Chang came over at this moment. As soon as he approached, he laughed loudly. Brother Zhou, this is your fault. We're all men. Isn't marrying a wife for the sake of companionship and children? Xiaoxi works himself to death every day. After doing the work in the field, he does the house chores and serves his wife like an ancestor. In the end, she actually doesn't let anyone touch her. If it were you, you would probably have chased such a wife home long ago, right? You can't possibly think that she's not wrong when it comes to your niece, right? Zhou Jingui gritted his teeth in anger. This old man had come at the right time. Hong Xiaoni didn't expect Gu Xiaoxi to tell her niece about this. Didn't he feel ashamed? She quickly defended herself. That's because I'm not in good health, so, if you're not in good health, then you've committed one of the 7 ailments. It's time to divorce. I'm fine now. I said that I know medicine. I'm only better than the doctors in your village. I can take your pulse and see if you're fine. I can also see what illness you had in the past. Why did you not recover for 2 years? Why did you recover at this time? Hong Xiaoni immediately retreated. Gu Yundong sneered. Why are you hiding? Are you feeling guilty? I think you're just a woman with bad intentions and a heart of evil. Certainly you should be divorced. Everyone's ears buzzed when they heard this. This woman was so eloquent. The problem was different from the quarrels of the women in the village. Her articulation was so clear that no one could refute her. At least Chief Zhou left while Chief Chang gloated over his misfortune. Zhou Jingui could not argue with Gu Yundong, so he could only lead Hong Xiaoni away in a hurry. Chief Chang laughed. Lady Gus' words hit the nail on the head. I'm impressed. Xiao Qingyuan patted Patriarch Chang. We're tired. Well, go back and rest first. We won't entertain Patriarch Chang anymore. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1124, There's a Way Out. Chief Chang was stunned. He felt a note being stuffed into his hand. He immediately smiled readily. It's indeed getting late. We won't disturb you anymore. When there's any progress, I'll get someone to inform you. Thanks a lot. Xiao Qingyuan brought Gu Yundong back to the house. After closing the door, Gu Yundong said, Phew, I'm too tired. I used to think that this rule was especially unfair to women. Now, I actually find it satisfying to use this reason to divorce a woman like Hong Xiaoni. Xiao Qingyuan stood behind her and massaged her shoulders. the 7 divorce rule is just the source. If you really want to divorce your wife, you can find any excuse. If you don't want to divorce your wife, even if the 7 divorce rule is broken, he doesn't care. Gu Yundong nodded. In any case, there was no being divorced at her place. There was only peaceful divorce, and widowhood. As she thought about it, she turned her head and gave Xiao Qingyuan a sinister look. The latter was speechless. Why did she feel a chill down her spine? He quickly changed the topic. After this commotion, the Zhou family should know that reconciliation with us is completely impossible. They will probably find other ways. I've already handed the note to Chief Chang. The rest is up to them. Patriarch Chang hurriedly returned to his house with the note. He immediately entered the house and unfolded the note. There were many words written on it with charcoal. The most important one was, get someone to follow Zhou Jingui and Hong Xiaoni from now on and find someone to guard the village entrance. Patriarch Chang rubbed his chin. Did this mean that Zhou Jingui and Hong Xiaoni were going to do something? No matter what he did, it seemed like the two of them were already on his side. The most important thing now was to suppress the Zhou family. Patriarch Chang quickly went out and gave a few instructions to a few smart people in the clan. These people quickly nodded and dispersed. 2 of them went to the vicinity of the Zhou family and watched the Zhou family's movements. At this moment, in the Zhou family, Zhou Jingui could not help but slap Hong Xiaoni hard again, almost knocking out her teeth. Chief Zhou frowned. Alright, what's the use of hitting her now? Patriarch, what should we do now? Patriarch Zhou's expression was vicious. I'm afraid that the 2 people surnamed Xiao are unwilling to reconcile with us. We can only think of another way. He paused for a moment before saying, find young Master Qiu. But Xiao is an official. Although young Master Qiu has some influence in the county, is he willing to go against an official? Young Master Qiu only wanted to take in a concubine. Would he offend Xiao for Hong Xiaoni? That Xiao is an official, but we don't know how big he is. Who knows if he's just fooling people? At that time, he had seen the fish talisman, but he didn't see the words carved on it clearly. Isn't young Master Qiu in contact with our county magistrate? Please ask him who this person is. If he's not a high-ranking official. Zhou Jingui asked in a low voice, what if he's a high-ranking official? It can't be that big. He doesn't even have a proper guard by his side. His wife is also Gu Xiaoxi's niece with no background. Zhou Jingui nodded repeatedly. Yes, uncle is right. I'll go to the county city tomorrow morning. You can stall for time here first. Don't let anyone notice. When you see young Master Qiu, tell him more about Xiaoni's hardships and humiliation. Yes. Early the next morning, Zhou Jingui left the house before dawn. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1125. In going to the county city, however, what Zhou Jingui did not know was that he had just left. Not far away, a person hiding in the straw pile's eyes lit up. He knocked his sleeping companion awake and said softly, continue to watch here. I'll follow and take a look. Be careful. This guy must be up to no good for sneaking out so early in the morning. It seems that the village chief is right. They are indeed up to something. That person nodded, gathered up his clothes, and silently followed. Then, she followed him all the way into the county city, through the alley, and finally stopped at the back door of the Qiu residence. The young man from the Chang family frowned and could only wait outside. He waited for nearly an hour before Zhou Jingui came out. However, he looked very happy. The young man from the Chang family glanced at the Qiu residence and felt uneasy. He followed Zhou Jingui back to Great Rock Village. As soon as he entered the village, he quickly found Chief Chang. Chief Chang's heart skipped a beat. The Zhou family is actually so close to the Qiu family? Could their backer be the Qiu family? Patriarch, what should we do now? Wait a moment, Chief Chang said and hurried into the house. He took a brush and paper and wrote something. Then, he came out and handed the paper to him. Go and deliver food to the people who are watching the Gu family. Find an opportunity to secretly give this note to young Master Xiao. Don't let the Zhou family find out. Go. Xiao Qingyuan quickly received the note and knew what he wanted to know. Patriarch Chang even thoughtfully wrote down the Zhou family's background and status in the county. Gu Yundong also saw the words clearly. So the Zhou family has a relationship with the Zhou family. They think that they have a backer, so they're trying their best to suppress the Chang family. According to the Chang family head's letter, the Zhou family's status in Heiyuan County was the same as the Lu family's status in Fengkai County. The only difference was that unlike the Lu residents, they did not have relatives working as officials in the capital. Do you think that the Zhou family has taken a fancy to this Hong Xiaoni? At that time, when Gu Yundong guessed that she despised young Uncle Gu for being poor and wanted to climb up the social ladder, Hong Xiaoni's expression changed. Wasn't the Zhou residence like that high branch? Xiao Qingyuan wasn't sure. After all, he felt that since Hong Xiaoni was so ugly, how blind must the people of the Zhou family be to like her? I'll go to the county in the afternoon. Alright, leave this to me. I'm experienced in stalling for time. I won't let them discover that you're not around. Xiao Qingyuan hugged her. Be careful. If anything happens, choose to protect yourself first. I'll rush back as soon as possible. Don't worry, I won't joke about myself. As they spoke, Xiao Qingyuan walked towards the courtyard. Before he left, he had to put on a show for the people in the courtyard. When Xiao Qingyuan arrived at the courtyard, he squatted on the ground and wanted to clean up the vat that had been broken yesterday. Gu Yundong immediately walked over and pulled him up. Brother Xiao, don't be busy. I took care of Uncle for the entire night yesterday. He won't have a fever again and again now. Hurry up and go to sleep. I'm here. Then, in front of everyone, she pushed Xiao Qingyuan into the house. The people in the courtyard couldn't help but laugh. I didn't expect that while this young master looks so noble, he actually took care of Gu Xiaoxi for the entire night. I'm afraid Gu Xiaoxi's luck will change in the future. Before he could finish speaking, Gu Yundong came out angrily. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:26. Someone wants to see you, what are you arguing about? Didn't you hear what I said just now? All of you are so loud. There's a patient in this room. Can you think for others? Do you have any morals? As soon as Gu Yundong came out, she started scolding her. The six of them were stunned and looked at her in a daze. Xiao Qingyuan took advantage of the fact that everyone's gaze was on Gu Yundong. With his back facing him, he quickly flipped out of the courtyard. It couldn't be helped. The Gu family's courtyard was really small. There was no window or exit on the other side. The only exit was this courtyard and that door. Fortunately, the courtyard wall was not high. It was too easy for Xiao Qingyuan. He disappeared in an instant. Seeing that he had left, Gu Yundong glared at the six of them and said in a gentler tone, "Don't speak later. Stay quiet. Otherwise, I'll kick all of you out." With a fierce expression, she returned to the house arrogantly. From the beginning to the end, the six of them did not realize that Xiao Qingyuan had already left. Xiao Qingyuan left the courtyard and quickly disappeared from the village. As expected, there was already a carriage parked at the entrance of the village. It was the coachman he had hired yesterday. When the coachman saw him, he quickly went up to him. "Young Master Xiao, are you going back to the county city?" However, Xiao Qingyuan untied the reins of the carriage and said to the coachman, "I have something urgent to attend to. Wait for me here first. You can ride the carriage back when I come back." "All right, young Master Xiao." "Thank you." How could it be difficult? Young Master Xiao was generous. He had hired him as a coachman for a few days, but he had given him a total of 3 taels of silver. It was enough for his monthly salary. He was willing to wait no matter how long it took. Xiao Qingyuan jumped onto his horse and rode straight to the county city. At this moment, at the entrance of the county office, the young master of the Zhou family was walking out casually. However, the county magistrate, who was still in the government office, asked the private advisor beside him in confusion, "Why didn't I know that an official from the imperial court came to our Heiyuan county? Could it be that some lord from the capital has a secret mission? If that's the case, the other party shouldn't have taken out the fish talisman to announce his identity. Lord, according to the young master of the Zhou family, this person doesn't even have a guard by his side. I'm afraid his status isn't high, and he's a little suspicious." The county magistrate touched his chin. He was a cautious man. A young official with a fish talisman suddenly appeared. Regardless of whether it was a high-ranking official or a low-ranking official, he had to find someone to investigate carefully. Therefore, he did not hesitate anymore. He only instructed the constable beside him, "Get someone to investigate this person's identity." "Yes." The constable quickly agreed and turned to leave. However, he was stopped by the county magistrate after a few steps. "Be more careful and hardworking these days. Go out and patrol more often. Don't let those sneaky people disturb the order of our county. It will be troublesome if you run into someone else." "I understand, my lord." The county magistrate waved his hand. "Go." The constable was about to leave, but the county magistrate was still rubbing his chin and thinking. Unexpectedly, after half a cup of tea, the constable who had left returned. The county magistrate was stunned. He almost pulled off 2 whiskers. "Have you found him?" "No, my lord." "Someone wants to see you." "Who?" "Dr. Fong." The county magistrate frowned. "Isn't he teaching the other doctors in the county to inoculate people? Why is he here? Did something happen? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1127, So Simple. Chapter 1127, So Simple. The county magistrate thought about it and quickly stood up to leave. He had just taken a step when Dr. Fong came over. Only then did the county magistrate realize that Dr. Fong was not the only one who came. There was a young and handsome man following behind him. Dr. Fong quickly cupped his hands and bowed. "Sir, this is young Master Xiao." Young Master Xiao? Who was he? The county magistrate looked at Xiao Qingyuan in confusion. After Xiao Qingyuan came to the county city, he first went to look for Dr. Fong. Dr. Fong was the doctor who had gone to the Shuanhe prefecture to learn the cowpox vaccination method from Heiyuan County, so he naturally knew him. Dr. Fong was inoculating the people in the county, so it was easier for him to see the county magistrate. Xiao Qingyuan wanted to save himself a lot of trouble. Seeing that the county magistrate didn't remember, Dr. Fong quickly introduced Xiao Qingyuan. The county magistrate was stunned for a moment. Then, his eyes lit up and he grabbed his hand. "So you're Mr. Xiao. I've heard so much about you. Nice to meet you." Of course, he had heard of Xiao Qingyuan's name. The commoners didn't know the emperor's decree, but as the county magistrate, he knew it very well. This was a talent that even the emperor praised endlessly. He had done something that benefited the country and the people and saved countless lives. In the future, this person's future was definitely limitless. Xiao Qingyuan's name was already well known in Heiyuan County. His deeds had become the hottest story in the tea house and were very popular. The county magistrate did not expect him to appear here. The county magistrate pulled Xiao Qingyuan to sit down and asked someone to serve tea. Only then did he wonder why he was here. "Young Master Xiao, are you here for the cowpox vaccination method?" Xiao Qingyuan shook his head. "This trip is for private matters. I just encountered some problems and want to ask you for a favor." Hearing that it was a private matter, the county magistrate hurriedly asked everyone in the central room to leave, leaving him alone to talk to Xiao Qingyuan. "Please speak, young Master Xiao." He was naturally willing to help Xiao Qingyuan. As long as it did not harm the country or his interests, the county magistrate was willing to be friends with him. Xiao Qingyuan didn't hide it from him and told him what had happened in Great Rock Village. The county magistrate frowned and slapped the table. Outrageous. The court has issued a decree that clans cannot carry out the death penalty in private. How dare they burn it and sink it in the pond? That's ridiculous. After scolding, he sat back in his chair dejectedly and reached out to rub his forehead. I didn't supervise them well enough and almost let them harm your uncle. It's just that these people rely on the law to not punish the masses and still follow their clan rules. It's difficult to eradicate their bad habits. Xiao Qingyuan also understood this. This kind of thing didn't only happen in Great Rock Village. There were many other villages like this across the country. Although the imperial court had issued a decree, if they really wanted to enforce this decree, it would probably cause a huge backlash. Therefore, combining two small villages and inserting a portion of refugees was actually a solution. At the very least, Great Rock Village could still find an opportunity to take advantage of the conflict between the two clans. Xiao Qingyuan didn't come here to ask the county magistrate to send troops to suppress them and ask the villagers to let them go. He just wanted to figure out the Zhou family. Zhou family? Do you want me to help you find out why the Zhou family is helping the Zhou family? Yes. So simple. Wasn't it a waste of talent? He felt that he had no use for it. This favor wasn't of much use. Chapter 1128, Reporting to Great Rock Village. Chapter 1128, Reporting to Great Rock Village. The county magistrate touched his chin again. Seeing that, Xiao Qingyuan's lips twitched slightly. After some thought, he continued, if possible, please inform the Zhou residents. I hope they won't interfere in this matter. Okay, no problem. The county magistrate agreed without hesitation. Xiao Qingyuan was speechless. He was suddenly extremely glad that he did not hand over the letter given to him by the prefecture magistrate. This county magistrate of Heiyuan County seemed to be eager for others to owe him a favor. The county magistrate was also very fast. As soon as he agreed, he stood up and asked the constable to call young Master Zhou back. Young Master Zhou, who was not far from the county office, had just instructed his subordinates to report to Great Rock Village. Tell Zhou Jingui that the county city hasn't received any news of any lord coming here recently. Even the county magistrate doesn't know. It's not very likely for the man to be on a secret mission, so his sudden action of taking out the fish talisman is very strange. As for you, let them wait patiently for a day. I'll give him the news soon. If there's nothing else, I'll still bring Xiaoni into the family. I don't care if she's married before. All right, go. The subordinate left immediately after hearing that. As soon as he left, the constable came to look for young Master Zhou. Young Master Zhou found it strange. Didn't he just see her? However, he still followed her to the county office. Xiao Qingyuan didn't see young Master Zhou. He was drinking tea at the back and letting the county magistrate talk to young Master Zhou. When young Master Zhou heard that the official holding the fish talisman actually had a great background, he was immediately shocked and anxious. The county magistrate comforted him. Don't worry. That lord has no grudge against you. He won't cause you trouble. He just heard that you have some dealings with the Zhou family, so he's trying to find out what your relationship is so that he won't hurt the innocent. Young Master Zhou heaved a sigh of relief. That's good, that's good. He quickly pointed to the sky and swore, I have nothing to do with the Zhou family at all. It's just that there's a lady in the Zhou family who's quite beautiful. I wanted to take her as my concubine, so we interacted. They had only interacted twice, but that lord had already found out about him. Young Master Zhou could not help but admire that lord's methods. The county magistrate asked about the girl in detail, but the girl that Master Zhou mentioned was completely different from what Xiao Qingyuan told her. Of course, he trusted Xiao Qingyuan, so he told young Master Zhou firmly, I'm afraid you've been deceived. The county magistrate patted his shoulder sympathetically and told him the whole story. Young Master Zhou was instantly furious. What a good Zhou family. They actually dare to lie to me. That woman despises the poor and loves the rich, but she just had to say that her husband was worthless. Fortunately, you told me the truth. Otherwise, if I took such a vicious woman back, I'm afraid my family would be in chaos. I wouldn't even know when she would harm me. He stood up and walked around twice before exhaling. I definitely won't have anything to do with the Zhou family anymore. Don't worry, sir. I'll get someone to settle the score with the Zhou family now. It's good that you know your limits. Young Master Qiu thanked him a few more times before leaving in a hurry. After walking out of the county office, young Master Qiu found his servant and instructed him to hurry to Great Rock Village. After sending young Master Qiu away, the county magistrate returned to the back hall. You heard it too. The Zhou family is deceiving both sides and wants to benefit from it. Unfortunately, they are too ambitious. It's fine if they want Hong Xiaoni to marry into the Qiu family, but they also want to take the opportunity to take down the Chang family. In the end, they failed. Chapter 1129. A good show. Chapter 1129. A good show. Xiao Qingyuan had already roughly connected the cause and effect of the matter according to the time period young Master Qiu had mentioned. He thanked the county magistrate and was about to leave. The county magistrate wanted Xiao Qingyuan to stay for dinner and a chat. As the county magistrate of a remote county, he really wanted to know what had happened in the capital. However, Xiao Qingyuan had promised Gu Yundong that he would go back earlier. He could only politely reject the county magistrate's invitation and refuse his help in sending bailiffs to Great Rock Village. He promised to come back for a drink with him after he was done. Only then did the county magistrate let him go back in satisfaction. He told Xiao Qingyuan to do whatever he wanted and come to him if he needed help. Only then did Xiao Qingyuan leave in a cold sweat. On the way back, he rode his horse at full speed. Soon, he overtook young Master Qiu's servant and arrived at the entrance of Great Rock Village. After getting off the horse, he asked the coachman to put on the carriage again. The coachman said, "A carriage entered the village not long ago." Xiao Qingyuan paused and understood. Young Master Qiu sent a total of 2 subordinates over. One came early and was probably already at the Zhou family. The other was still behind, but it would be soon. Now, there would be a good show to watch. Xiao Qingyuan's guess was right. The person who had been seen by the coachman entering the village was indeed the person young Master Qiu had instructed to go to Great Rock Village. He had left early and was already at the Zhou residence. When Zhou Jingui saw him enter, he immediately welcomed him in with a smile and invited the patriarch over. Seeing that everyone was here, the servant took a sip of tea and said, "Our young master said that the county magistrate is very sure that the county magistrate hasn't received any news of a lord coming here recently. Don't scare yourself. The young master asked you to wait for a day and bring Xiaoni into the house. Our young master doesn't care if he has married anyone before. As long as Xiaoni serves the young master well in the future, there won't be any problems. You don't have to worry." Chief Zhou, Zhou Jingui, Hong Xiaoni, and the others were overjoyed. Since young Master Qiu had said so, there was definitely no problem. However, Chief Zhou quickly became puzzled. "But that person has a fish talisman euro," the servant was stunned. He couldn't remember what the young master had said. He seemed to have mentioned something about the fish talisman. After thinking for a moment, his eyes suddenly lit up and he said, "The young master said that there's something strange about the fish talisman." Chief Zhou was even happier. "You mean that he might have stolen the fish talisman from someone else?" "That's right." Chief Zhou's eyes lit up. He immediately instructed Zhou Jingui, "Gather the clansmen. Let's go to the Gu family." "Yes." Zhou Jingui walked out of the door in high spirits. As soon as he went out, the people watching him outside immediately chased after him. When they realized that he had started to gather his clansmen and looked like he was about to cause trouble, their expressions immediately changed drastically and they quickly went to inform Chief Chang. When Xiao Qingyuan entered the village, he happened to see this noisy scene. He immediately rushed to the Gu residence and squatted in the corner. Gu Yundong, who was in the kitchen, heard him clearly and knew that he was back. She immediately let out a cry. The 6 people who did not dare to make a sound in the courtyard suddenly woke up and subconsciously got up to run into the kitchen. The 6 of them went in. Yundong screamed again and shouted, "Why did all of you come in?" When Xiao Qingyuan received the message, he quickly climbed over the wall and entered the house. Chapter 1130, Arrest. Chapter 1130, Arrest. Only then did Yundong dawdle out of the kitchen. She said to the 6 of them, "You're just making a fuss. I just accidentally dropped something and made a sound. Is it worth it for all of you to come in? All of you are men. Why are you so rash?" The 6 of them were speechless. Who was making such a fuss? They wanted to defend themselves, but Yundong had already bypassed them and strode towards Xiao Qingyuan, who had been standing in the courtyard for some time. "Brother Xiao, you're awake. Did I wake you up just now? I'm sorry. I'll be more careful next time." "It's okay. I've had enough sleep." As they spoke, they returned to the house. The 6 of them were speechless. "So what happened just now?" Xiao Qingyuan briefly explained the process of meeting the county magistrate in the county city. Then, he said, "When I came back just now, I saw Chief Zhou gathering people. It seems that he's going to settle the score. Is Uncle feeling better? Let him be mentally prepared." "Much better. I'll go in and take a look." Gu Xiaoxi was indeed much more energetic than yesterday. When she saw her enter, she hurriedly asked, "Is Xiao Qingyuan back?" "Yes, it might be a little messy later." "Uncle, get up and put on your clothes first." "Okay." Gu Yundong spoke to Chang Yaya, who was peeling beans in the same room. Chang Yaya was a little nervous. Gu Yundong smiled at her comfortingly. "It's all right." "Yeah." As soon as she finished speaking, there was a knock on the door outside the courtyard. The people in the courtyard immediately ran to open the door. Not long after, a large group of people from the Zhou family rushed in. Chief Zhou was the first to bear the brunt. When he saw Xiao Qingyuan, Gu Yundong, and Chang Yaya walk out of the house, he sneered and said, "The matter has been investigated clearly. Chang Yaya seduced Gu Xiaoxi. The evidence is conclusive. The punishment from before will not change." Then, he said to the young men behind him, "The few of you, go in and bring Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya out." "Wait." Chief Chang and the members of the Chang clan rushed over with ashen faces. "What does Chief Zhou want to do? What do you mean by the matter has been investigated clearly? Why don't we know? You want to execute a person of the Chang clan, but you didn't even tell us. Do you think our Chang clan is easy to bully?" The people behind him were also filled with righteous indignation. They held hoes and shovels in their hands and looked like they were about to fight someone to the death. Chief Zhou sneered. "How can I not know? Back then, so many people saw them lying on the bed in disheveled clothes. Aren't you clear enough about catching them in the act?" As he spoke, he suddenly leaned close to Chief Chang's ear and whispered, "Old Chang, don't blame me for not reminding you. I've received confirmation. This Xiao is not a high-ranking official. He's a fake. If you continue to get involved with him, be careful not to be consigned to eternal damnation." Ha 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 ha. Patriarch Chang's face turned pale as he looked at him in shock. Chief Zhou waved his hand impatiently. "Arrest him." "Yes, Chief." The few young men behind him replied confidently. Xiao Qingyuan immediately straightened his bow. The few of them stopped in their tracks and did not dare to go forward. Chief Zhou snorted coldly. "Young Master Xiao, do you know what kind of crime it is to impersonate an official of the imperial court? That's a huge crime, and your entire family will be executed. I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. Otherwise, it's not worth it to implicate your entire family for Gu Xiaoxi." Chapter 1131, So much information. Chapter 1131, So much information. Everyone present widened their eyes in shock. "Imposter?" Gu Yundong found it funny. "Who told you that my brother Xiao is an imposter?" Chief Zhou said, "You guys really won't shed tears until you see the coffin." He gave Zhou Jingui a look. The latter quickly led a person to the front and introduced proudly, "This young man is from the Zhou family in the county." The young master of the Zhou family personally asked the county magistrate, who personally said that you were an impostor. Xiao Qingyuan was speechless. He was very sure that the county magistrate had never said that. He looked at the servant of the Zhou family. For some reason, the latter did not dare to meet his gaze. However, under the expectant gazes of Zhou Jingui and the others, he still nodded firmly. "That's right. That fish talisman of yours is strange. You're not an official of the imperial court at all. I advise you Euro Bulsh *T. A loud shout suddenly interrupted him. The servant was a little unhappy and turned around with a frown. He saw a person panting not far away. He looked familiar. As the man got closer, he suddenly became alert. Euro, isn't this young master's capable servant, Chioda? This person was just a handyman from the Zhou mansion. In fact, he did not have much status. Young Master Zhou did not take the Zhou family seriously at all, so he casually sent a servant over. After that, he carefully sent his loyal servant over. When the servant saw Chioda, he immediately went up to him and smiled obsequiously. "Brother Chioda, why are you here?" It seems that young Mr. Euro is very concerned about the Zhou family. When Chief Zhou and Zhou Jingui heard this, they immediately became even more imposing. Zhou Jingui had seen Chioda before and knew that he was very influential in front of young Master Zhou. Seeing that he had come personally, it seemed that young Master Zhou was very satisfied with Xiaoni. He quickly went forward and said, "Brother Zhou, don't worry. There are so many of us. We will definitely be able to catch this thief who dares to pretend to be an official of the imperial court." Chioda almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He was so angry that he kicked him. "Shut up. Who's the thief? I think you're the bold one. You even dare to touch Lord Xiao. You don't want to live anymore." The scene fell silent. Everyone was stunned. The servant from before widened his eyes and immediately realized that he had done something wrong. As expected, Zhou Jingui pointed at him and said, But he said that young Master Zhou confirmed that this young Master Xiao is a fakey Euro." "Fake what? You're the ones who don't tell the truth." Of course, Chioda would not take the blame for his own people. He would deal with his own people when he returned. Now, he had to unite with the other servant and deal with the outside world. He pointed at Zhou Jingui and said, "You guys are really bold to actually dare to lie to my young master. My young master took a fancy to Hong Xiaoni and wanted to take her as a concubine. He didn't mind that she had married someone before, but he also clearly said that if her husband couldn't bear to let her go, he wouldn't do such a thing as snatching a commoner girl." "What did you say?" "You said that Hong Xiaoni's husband only wanted 50 taels of silver to let her go. Our young master gave her silver, but what happened in the end?" Wow Euro, that was a lot of information. Everyone looked at Zhou Jingui and Hong Xiaoni in disbelief. Zhou Jingui wanted to stop Chioda from saying anything else. Hong Xiaoni regretted coming out to watch the commotion. At this moment, she wished she could bury her head in the ground. But Chief Chang was very excited. Look at what he had heard. He immediately asked a crucial question. Chapter 1132, This is a snake. Chapter 1132, This is a snake. Brother Chioda, when did your young master say that he wanted Xiaoni to be his concubine? Chioda said, "Half a month ago." Half a month ago? At that time, there was no indication that Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya were in contact. Everyone was no fool. What was there to not understand? It was obvious that Hong Xiaoni wanted to be someone's concubine and couldn't wait to get rid of Gu Xiaoxi. In order to clear her name, she even set him and Chang Yaya up. Tragic, how tragic. Gu Xiaoxi had walked out at some point in time and probably heard what Chioda had said. He said in a low but powerful voice, "I've never said that I'll let Hong Xiaoni go, and I've never seen 50 taels of silver. I also don't know that young Master Zhou has taken a fancy to her and wants to take a concubine." Chioda immediately pointed at Zhou Jingui. "Where did the silver go?" €, Zhou Jingui was speechless. He was so flustered that he could only look at Chief Zhou. However, ever since Qiu De appeared and revealed Xiao Qingyuan's identity, Chief Zhou had already broken out in cold sweat. How could he care about him? The Zhou family's side was terrifyingly quiet, but the Chang family's side started whispering. The buzzing grew louder and louder. Patriarch Chang laughed. It's obvious now. Hong Xiaoni is the one who's full of lies. What Chang Yaya said is true. I knew it. Our Chang family's girl is usually honest and dutiful. How could she do such a thing? She was tricked by Hong Xiaoni. Im not, Hong Xiaoni immediately denied. Chief Chang suddenly laughed. You didn't? I also have a witness here. Do you want to hear what he has to say? He waved his hand behind him, and immediately, someone walked over with a middle-aged man between their arms. When Chief Zhou saw him, his expression became very ugly. This was the doctor. Back then, in the note Xiao Qingyuan had given Patriarch Chang, other than asking him to keep an eye on Zhou Jingui and Hong Xiaoni, he had also asked him to interrogate the doctors in the village. Now, the man confessed. The doctor stood in front of everyone. Facing everyone's covetous gazes, he could only brace himself and say, actually, 2 years ago, Hong Xiaoni gave me benefits and asked me to lie to Gu Xiaoxi and tell her that her health wasn't good. She had to keep recuperating for 2 years. Also, a few days ago, Hong Xiaoni took 2 packets of medicine from me and gave them to Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya. After that, I listened to her and told everyone that Gu Xiaoxi was healthy and couldn't find €. Everyone's eyes widened when they heard this. The person standing beside Hong Xiaoni could not help but take 3 steps back. Even the Zhou family could not help but gasp. How much hatred did she have? She actually schemed against her husband. Not only that, but she also wanted to kill the innocent Chang Yaya. A scorpion. This was a scorpion. Seeing that the matter was almost settled, Gu Yundong simply said to Chief Chang, the 2 of you can discuss the rest yourselves. My uncle is not feeling well. I'll take him in to rest first. Take care. In any case, they didn't need the person involved to be present when they discussed how to deal with Gu Xiaoxi and her wife last time. Now, they didn't want to get involved. After all, now that it was the Chang family's turn to get benefits, they would probably have to argue with the Zhou family for a long time. Gu Yundong and the others returned to the house. Once the courtyard door was closed, it was instantly quiet. This time, no one looked at them anymore. The results of the punishment were out very quickly. Chapter 1133, Result Chapter 1133, Result. The next morning, Patriarch Chang came to look for them happily. The Zhou family no longer had the strength to fight back. From the moment Xiu De appeared in Stone Village and revealed the truth, from the moment the village physician completely revealed Hong Xiaoni's true colors, to the moment he confirmed that Xiao Qingyuan was a true official of the imperial court, Chief Zhou knew that they were finished. All their plans had been for naught. Now, they were the ones who had to compensate and be accounted for. The Zhou family had compensated the Chang family with a lot of food and benefits. These were matters between the 2 clans, so there was naturally no need to tell Gu Yundong. The Chang family head had brought the results of the treatment of Gu Xiaoxi and the other 2. The village held a meeting to prove Gu Xiaoxi's innocence. Moreover, these things were planned by Hong Xiaoni and the rest. Naturally, they has to compensate Gu Xiaoxi for being beaten up innocently and locked up in a dark house. Here is the silver the Zhou family gave him. 50 taels. 50 taels? I remember that young Master Qiu gave Zhou Jingui 50 taels of silver €. Chief Chang immediately smiled. The 50 taels were taken away by the servants from the Qiu family yesterday. These are the silver from the Zhou family. After a pause, he advised, don't think it's too little. Our village is poor. It's already good enough that the Zhou family can take out 50 taels. Gu Yundong also knew that it was only because she and Xiao Qingyuan were there that the Zhou family took out money to compensate. Otherwise, youngest uncle would have suffered this beating for nothing. At most, he would have cleared his name. She didn't say anything and put away the 50 taels. Chief Chang heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this. Although he also wanted the Zhou family to bleed, there were some things that he could not be too ruthless about. This silver was related to the interests of the entire Zhou family. If he gave too much, these people would be dissatisfied and cause trouble. In any case, after this incident, the Zhou family was already dissatisfied with Chief Zhou. Perhaps if he worked harder, Chief Zhou would have to change to someone else. Patriarch Chang continued, this matter was caused by Zhou Jinggua's family. He has been punished by the clan and is locked up in the Zhou family's ancestral hall. As for Hong Xiaoni, she should have been drowned in the pond for doing such a ruthless thing. Bu Taiyuro, he glanced at Xiao Qingyuan. Gu Yundong understood now. Brother Xiao was an official of the imperial court after all, and this matter had been made known to the county magistrate. If they were to execute someone in private, it would not be good for anyone. However, one of her legs was broken, and everyone in Great Rock Village knows what kind of person she is. She won't have a good life in the future. Speaking of which, her situation is even more painful than sinking into the pond. Because of her, the Zhou clan suffered heavy losses. Because of her, Zhou Jinggui was imprisoned in the ancestral hall according to the clan rules. Because of her, Chief Zhou suffered great humiliation. These people would blame Hong Xiaoni. One could imagine how difficult her life would be in the future. Especially since Gu Xiaoxi was about to leave. The person who doted on her the most and took care of her was no longer around. How could she recover in the future? And Yaya, the clan will compensate her for the grievances she has suffered. As for what kind of compensation, Chief Chang did not say. In the end, Chief Chang said, I know that Gu Xiaoxi will probably not continue to stay in Great Rock Village in the future. I've also spoken to the village chief. When you're free, go to the county city to apply for a household registration removal. Then, he left the Gu residence. Gu Yundong looked at his cheerful back and exchanged glances with Xiao Qingyuan. Fortunately, the village chief of Yongfu village is not like him. Chapter 1134, I'll marry her. Chapter 1134, I'll marry her. She had seen a lot of the world outside and knew more people. Only then did he realize what kind of peerless treasure Chen Liang was. Xiao Qingyuan nodded. Fortunately, we can leave soon. We don't have to deal with him anymore. As soon as he finished speaking, a light cough suddenly came from behind. Gu Yundong and Chang Yaya turned around and saw Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya standing behind them. They must have heard what the Chang family head said just now. Gu Yundong handed the 50 taels of silver to Gu Xiaoxi. This is the Zhou family's compensation for you. Take it. This was the first time Gu Xiaoxi had seen such a large amount of money in her life. She didn't know if she should be happy or sad. Gu Yundong turned her head and looked at Chang Yaya beside him. Euro, your patriarch said that he would compensate you. Chang Yaya smiled bitterly and nodded. However, everyone knew very well that the so-called compensation was probably just some rice, noodles, and diesel. They did not need Chang Yaya's opinion. Gu Yundong did not know how to persuade her. She was actually the one who suffered the most in this matter. Originally, she was living her life peacefully, but because she became Hong Xiaoni's target alone, she almost died. Chang Yaya turned around and entered the house. Actually, now that the truth had been revealed, she could return to her home. However, she suddenly did not have the courage to lift her legs and walk out of the courtyard door. She knew what she would face if she left the Gu family. After she left, Gu Xiaoxi pursed his lips and lowered his head in deep thought. After a long time, his gaze gradually became firm. He said in a low, slow, and affirmative voice, Yundong, I want to take Chang Yaya with me. Gu Yundong was stunned. Uncle, do you know what you're saying? If he wanted to take Chang Yaya away, he wouldn't just take her away. Although Chang Yaya didn't have any relatives, she had her own clansmen. The Chang clan wouldn't allow a girl like her to go with Gu Xiaoxi for no reason. That would be no different from eloping. When the time came, would the Chang clan's girls be able to get married? Chang Yaya was different from Shinsidian back then, so Gu Yundong did not say this. Gu Xiaoxi smiled and scratched her head. I know. I'll marry her. In the end, she was implicated by me. She was a good girl, but now her reputation has been ruined. Although everyone knows that she was harmed, it's also a fact that she was on the same bed with me. No one believes that she's innocent. Yundong, you know that even if she didn't sink into the pond this time, she will be forced to death if she continues to live in this village. Gu Yundong frowned, feeling extremely conflicted. Of course, she knew that. She couldn't bear to see a girl like her die just like that. Wasn't she trying to think of a way to help her? It was just a little difficult. Her uncle's first marriage was because of responsibility, but in the end, it ended up like this. She didn't want Uncle Gu to break free from such shackles with great difficulty, only to get married for the second time because of responsibility. There was still a long way to go in the future. Could the two of them, who were forced to be together because they had no choice, continue living well? Gu Xiaoxi, on the other hand, couldn't quite understand her dilemma. In his heart, wasn't it normal to get married when he found a suitable girl? Everyone had been through this. At least for now, Chang Yaya was quite suitable. Why was Yundong in such a difficult position? Chapter 1135, Even Plan for the Future. Chapter 1135, Even Plan for the Future. Gu Yundong and Gu Xiaoxi's channel was not in a straight line at all. In the end, Gu Yundong said, I think we should ask Chang Yaya about this. We should indeed. I'll go ask her now. Gu Yundong exhaled and frowned. She thought that there must be other ways to help Chang Yaya. She had to think again. Xiao Qingyuan laughed. You don't have to think too much. This is between the two of them. Your uncle is not as young as Yinshu and the others. He has experienced so much and knows what he wants. Gu Yundong was stunned. She rubbed her head. I've reached a dead end. Forget it, let's wait for them to discuss it first. Today is a good day. Let's make some delicious food to celebrate. Okay. The two of them went straight to the kitchen and happily made 5 or 6 dishes. When he returned to the central room, he realized that Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya had walked out of the room. In just a short while, Gu Yundong felt that the atmosphere between the two of them seemed to be different. Huh? Gu Xiaoxi met Gu Yundong's gaze in embarrassment and said, Yaya has already agreed. I have 50 taels of silver now. It's enough for me to get married. The last time she brought Hong Xiaoni all the way to Great Rock Village, she was really penniless. The house in front of her was built after borrowing some money from Zhou Jingue. Gu Yundong, €1, alright, as long as you're happy. She could tell that Gu Xiaoxi might have feelings for Chang Yaya. I also saved 3 taels of silver, Chang Yaya said softly. Gu Xiaoxi was even happier. Then we have 53 taels of silver. It doesn't cost much to live in the countryside. We can use this money for a long time if we conserve it. When we leave, we can even sell the houses here. Although we might not be able to sell them for much, I'll work hard. Our life won't be bad. Chang Yaya lowered her head and said, I will work hard too. Then, she frowned slightly. It's just that my house can't be sold. When I get married, the clan will take that house back. It's alright, it's alright. We have enough money. Gu Xiaoxi was really happy. In the past, he was the only one working at home, and Hong Xiaoni wouldn't do anything. Now that he heard Chang Yaya say that she wanted to work hard with him and make their lives better, he felt warm in his heart. Gu Yundong, €1, Xiao Qingyuan, €1, that was good. The future days had already been planned. However, Gu Yundong looked at Gu Xiaoxi, who was filled with anticipation for the future, and finally could not help but laugh. She called out to the two of them, all right, you can talk about these things behind closed doors. Let's eat first. Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya blushed. Gu Xiaoxi was a little vexed. He shouldn't have told Yundong this. She was a junior and had yet to get married. However, he only had Yundong as his only relative in front of him. In addition, she had been too independent these few days and was not much different from him. He could not help but talk to her about everything. The four of them sat down to eat. This time, they quietened down, especially Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya. They lowered their heads and continued eating. Gu Yundong found it funny. When they were done eating, Gu Yundong handed a brush and paper to Gu Xiaoxi. But there's one more thing that needs to be resolved first. Chapter 1136, Writing a Divorce Letter. Chapter 1136, Writing a Divorce Letter. Gu Xiaoxi was stunned. He looked up at her in confusion. What is it? Gu Yundong rolled her eyes. You're going to get another wife. Shouldn't you settle the first one first? The first one? Wasn't Hong Xiaoni taken care of? Why Euro? Gu Xiaoxi suddenly reacted. You mean, a divorce letter? What else could it be? Gu Xiaoxi smiled sheepishly and quickly took the brush and paper. This time, it wasn't a charcoal pen. It was a brush that Gu Yundong had borrowed from Patriarch Chang. After all, it was a divorce letter. It had to be more formal. Gu Xiaoxi was literate. After all, he had grown up following Gu Dajiang. He could write basic words. It was just that in the past, he did not have the conditions to practice calligraphy in the Gu family, so the handwriting was a little ugly. It was like a dog crawling, and it really hurt his eyes. However, when Chang Yaya saw it, her face was filled with surprise. I didn't expect you to know so many words. Gu Xiaoxi instantly felt embarrassed. It's a Euro, it's all right. After a pause, he added, if you want to learn, I'll teach you in the future. I can learn too. Sure. My brother said that women should learn to read so that they won't be easily deceived. Chang Yaya's eyes seemed to glow. Of course, she wanted to be literate, but in Great Rock Village, there were not many boys who could afford to go to school, let alone girls. Facing Chang Yaya's adoring gaze, Gu Xiaoxi's heart inexplicably Euro beat faster. Gu Yundong rolled her eyes as she watched from the side. Youngest uncle, you should practice your handwriting first. Don't lead people astray. When the time comes, people will think that normal handwriting is like yours. After he finished writing, Gu Xiaoxi heaved a sigh of relief. He planned to hand this divorce letter to Hong Xiaoni personally. He would treat it as settling things between them. Chang Yaya was still at the Gu residence, and Gu Yundong did not go out. Therefore, Xiao Qingyuan accompanied Gu Xiaoxi to the Zhou residence. Along the way, they encountered many villagers. Some were from the Zhou family, some were from the Chang family, and some were outsiders. All of them looked at the two of them with resentment, joy, and curiosity. In the past, Gu Xiaoxi didn't have much of a presence in Great Rock Village. When he met those strong and unreasonable people from the two races, he would almost always avoid them. Now, it didn't matter anymore. He faced all kinds of gazes very calmly. When they arrived at Zhou Jinggua's house, before they could enter the house, they could vaguely hear cries and curses coming from inside. It's all your fault, you shameless thing. You caused us to be in such a sorry state. Why don't you die? Why don't you die? Why don't you take a look at yourself? Do you think that everyone wants you? Now, young Master Qiu doesn't want you anymore. Even Gu Xiaoxi doesn't like you anymore. What hope do you have in life? You don't have a father or a mother. You don't even have a husband. Do you believe that when you go out in the future, others will spit at you? If I were you, I would jump into the river. Back then, so many people died in the famine. Why didn't you? Gu Xiaoxi, who was outside the door, had a complicated look in his eyes. He sighed inwardly. Xiao Qingyuan glanced at him. Have you softened your heart? I'm not soft-hearted. I just didn't expect it to come to this. At the thought that she had set him up and almost burned him to death, his heart could not soften. It was as cold as iron. Let's go in, Xiao Qingyuan said. Gu Xiaoxi glanced at the divorce letter in her hand, nodded, and strode into the Zhou family's courtyard. Chapter 1137, I'm so miserable. Chapter 1137, I'm so miserable, Hong Xiaoni, let me tell you. This is the Zhou family. Don't stay here. Yuyuro, eldest Aunt Zhou, was still scolding angrily when she saw the two of them enter. Her voice stopped abruptly. You, what are you doing here? Of course, eldest aunt also hated Gu Xiaoxi. If it was in the past, she would have pounced on him, bit him, and torn him apart. However, when her gaze landed on Xiao Qingyuan, all her impulses collapsed. Her husband was still locked up in the Zhou family's ancestral hall. If she still dared to do anything, her family would not have a good life. Gu Xiaoxi glanced at her and said, I'm looking for Hong Xiaoni. Why are you looking for her? Something's up. Eldest Aunt Zhou's heart was filled with hatred. After glancing at Xiao Qingyuan fearfully, she could only reluctantly point to a room beside her. She's over there. Gu Xiaoxi glanced at the room and pursed her lips. When he first came to Great Rock Village, he and Hong Xiaoni had lived in Zhou Jinggua's house for a few days, so they were naturally very familiar with the Zhou family's environment. The house that eldest Aunt Zhou had pointed out could not even be considered a woodshed. It was a place where various farming tools were placed. It was originally built with the outhouse, but now, it was separated by a mud wall as tall as a person. Gu Xiaoxi heaved a sigh of relief and strode towards the room. Xiao Qingyuan stood in the courtyard without moving. Therefore, even if Aunt Zhou wanted to hear what they were saying in the house, she did not dare to do anything under his nose. The moment Gu Xiaoxi pushed open the door, he saw Hong Xiaoni lying on the bed. There were many baskets and hoes in the house, and only a small piece was still empty. There were 2 benches there and 2 wooden boards on them. They could be treated as a bed. Hong Xiaoni was lying on this wooden board, staring blankly at a basket hanging on the beam above her head. Upon seeing Gu Xiaoxi enter, she froze for a moment before hurriedly sitting up. However, her leg was broken, and she fell off the bed. Gu Xiaoxi instinctively ran forward to support her. However, as soon as he touched her, he immediately recalled the grudge between the two of them. She was no longer the wife who was seriously ill and needed to be taken care of. He quickly retracted his hand, but it was too late. Hong Xiaoni grabbed his arm and asked anxiously, Xiaoxi, why are you here? Are you here to take me away? Take me away. I was wrong. I've let you down. I won't do it again. I'll definitely be a good wife in the future. I'll take care of you, serve you, and give birth to your children, okay? Gu Xiaoxi wanted to stand up, but Hong Xiaoni was surprisingly strong. He couldn't break free. He quickly took out the divorce letter and handed it to her. He said, You've misunderstood. I'm here to divorce you. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. You're on your own. Hong Xiaoni was stunned. Gu Xiaoxi took this opportunity to quickly retract his hand and immediately took 2 steps back. Hong Xiaoni couldn't read, but when she heard the word divorce, her expression suddenly became ferocious. She grabbed it and tore it into pieces. What divorce letter? No, there's no divorce letter. She raised her head and looked at Gu Xiaoxi. You want to divorce me, right? You were so good to me in the past. You couldn't bear to let me suffer at all. You listened to everything I said. But now, my leg is broken. Look, I'm so miserable. Xiaoxi, you can't leave me alone. Take me away, okay? I beg you. Chapter 1138, Proposal. Chapter 1138, Proposal. Gu Xiaoxi looked at the pieces of paper on the ground and paused for a moment before saying, It's useless even if you tear this divorce letter. I'll leave another letter in the Zhou family. Hong Xiaoxi's voice stopped abruptly. She looked at him in disbelief and cried, I've already begged you like this, but you're still indifferent? Must you divorce me? Gu Xiaoxi, didn't you hear how that woman outside scolded me just now? I'll die if I stay here. Gu Xiaoxi looked at her steadily. You're the one who caused all of this. But you promised my father that you would take good care of me. My father entrusted me to you. How can you not care about me? Hong Xiaoni cried until her face was smudged. It was as if she was grabbing the last chance and urgently moving Father Hong out. Yes, as long as she mentioned her father, Gu Xiaoxi's heart would definitely soften. That was his savior. He saved my life. You took my life. It's paid off. No, you didn't pay it back. Xiaoni shouted hoarsely. You're still alive and well, but my father is dead. How can this be considered paying it back? Seeing that she seemed to have gone crazy, Gu Xiaoxi shook his head slowly. If you think so, I can't do anything about it. When I die in the future, I'll apologize to your father. With that, he turned around and left without looking at Xiaoni again. Xiaoni panicked and hurriedly crawled forward. Don't go. Gu Xiaoxi, don't go. Don't leave me behind. I was wrong. I'll change. Don't go Euro. Gu Xiaoxi did not turn back. From now on, he would have nothing to do with Xiaoni. Xiaoni's voice was so shrill that everyone outside the courtyard heard it. Xiao Qingyuan saw how straightforward he was, but he still exhaled slightly. Let's go. The two of them strode out of the Zhou family's courtyard. They could vaguely hear eldest Aunt Zhou scolding again. What are you howling for? Are you mourning? Your uncle isn't dead yet Euro. It was no longer their business to say anything else. Xiao Qingyuan and Gu Xiaoxi returned to the Gu residence and began to discuss the matter of Chang Yaya. Gu Xiaoxi definitely had to go to the Chang family to propose first. Currently, Chang Yaya did not have any relatives by her side. It was just that her current situation was a little special, so she still had to ask the Chang family head to propose marriage. Therefore, that afternoon, the four of them went to the county city to buy proposal presents. Their departure gave Chief Chang a huge fright. It was fine if they left, but why did they take Chang Yaya with them? It was not easy for things to calm down. If news of Chang Yaya eloping with someone spread, the Chang family's reputation would be finished. Fortunately, an elder advised him, the Gu family's house is still there. If Gu Xiaoxi wants to leave, he will definitely sell it. He probably has something on and will leave temporarily. There's no hurry. If he had something to do, why did he bring Chang Yaya along? This elder didn't know. However, at night, the four of them appeared at Chief Chang's house. Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya had changed into brand new clothes that they had bought from the tailor shop in the county. Gu Xiaoxi had used his 50 taels of silver to buy the clothes. After all, he was going to propose. She couldn't possibly wear clothes that were filled with patches. He was still carrying a lot of things in his hand. When Chief Chang saw this, he was extremely surprised. When he saw Chang Yaya looking at Gu Xiaoxi shyly, he suddenly realized what was going on and was overjoyed. He hurriedly invited them in. Chapter 1139, No Banquet. Chapter 1139, No Banquet. As expected, Gu Xiaoxi directly explained his intentions. I'm here today to propose marriage. I want to marry Chang Yaya. Patriarch Chang was overjoyed. Actually, he had thought about it before. He might as well let Gu Xiaoxi marry Chang Yaya. If so many people saw her lying on the same bed with him, her chastity would be gone. If Chang Yaya continued to stay in Great Rock Village, rumors would still force her to death in the future. He might as well let Gu Xiaoxi take responsibility. However, with Xiao Qingyuan and Gu Yundong around, he did not dare to make such a request. Therefore, he could only continue to wrong Chang Yaya. He did not expect them to have such intentions. Without much thought, Chief Chang hurriedly nodded and agreed. All right, all right, all right. Yaya is a hard-working girl. She's a good person. You're also someone diligent. When you two become husband and wife in the future, you'll definitely live happily ever after. He looked at the proposal present on the table again. It was not very expensive. It was similar to what the villagers in the village had prepared when they proposed. He thought that with a nephew-in-law who was a high-ranking official, this man would at least buy something good. Gu Xiaoxi didn't know what he was thinking, but he bought the present with his own money. Naturally, he bought the same things as the other villagers. Chief Chang retracted his thoughts and asked, since there's no problem with this marriage, when will this banquet Euro? We won't be holding a banquet here. Before Chief Chang could finish speaking, Chang Yaya interrupted first. However, when he said this, not only was Chief Chang stunned, but even Gu Yundong and the others were stunned. Chang Yaya smiled and said, "After all, something just happened in the village. If Xiaoxi and I get married at this time, the Zhou family will definitely be unhappy. There might be other rumors spreading. It's better to keep a low profile. Xiaoxi and I signed the marriage contract and we can be considered husband and wife." Chief Chang lowered his eyes. What he said made sense. They had just tricked the Zhou family. They had to know when to stop. If they added fuel to the fire, they might retaliate. Chang Yaya continued, "Moreover, Xiaoxi has been separated from his brother and sister for so long. His family is looking forward to him going back early. Yundong and Qingyuan also have something important to do. It's not good to delay for too long." Patriarch Chang nodded. That's true. He could only sigh regretfully, but it didn't matter. He didn't think much of Chang Yaya. Whether she wanted to hold a wedding banquet or not was her own business. In that case, it's settled. Tomorrow morning, you guys come over and sign the marriage contract. From then on, you'll be husband and wife. Thank you, Patriarch. Things progressed very smoothly and quickly. Gu Xiaoxi originally wanted to tell Chang Yaya about the banquet. Unexpectedly, that night, Chang Yaya was left at Chief Chang's house. After all, she was a member of the Chang family. On the last night before her marriage, she could not follow them to the Gu family's house. In addition, Patriarch Chang had the intention to do Xiao Qingyuan a favor, so he asked his wife to prepare something for her. It was not much, just enough for celebration. That night, Chang Yaya slept with Chief Chang's wife. His wife specially told her many things that newlyweds should pay attention to. Chang Yaya did not have any elders by her side, so she could only do the job. His wife, on the other hand, treated Chang Yaya quite well. She explained in detail some of the ways of interaction between husband and wife, as well as the conflict between mother-in-law and sisters-in-law. Chang Yaya almost did not sleep the entire night. Chapter 1140, Preparing to go home. Chapter 1140, Preparing to go home. The next morning, Chief Chang gathered a few elders and told them about this matter. No one objected. In fact, they all agreed very much. Hence, when Gu Xiaoxi and the others arrived, Chief Chang took the marriage contract and got the two of them to sign it to officially become husband and wife. The moment Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya pressed their handprints, they inexplicably felt that they were related to each other. It was very subtle and very joyous. Even if there was no banquet, there had to be a dowry. Chang Yaya only had 3 taels of silver in total. However, her family had a cage that her mother had brought when she married over. It was quite beautiful, including this. Some of the clothes and blankets were really old and useless. In the end, Chief Chang discussed with a few elders. Although they had decided to take back her original house after she got married, in order to compensate her for the grievances and injustice she had suffered previously, the clan still bought it for 2 taels of silver. They even added 2 pieces of red cloth and a quilt. In this way, Chang Yaya's dowry was actually much better than some girls in the village. As for the betrothal gifts, they were just a formality. They would definitely not be handed over to the clansmen. In the end, they were all given to Chang Yaya. As such, Chang Yaya's own money was considered quite a lot. Even the chief's wife was envious. When she got married, her family did not give her so much money. Once the marriage contract was signed, they would officially be husband and wife. Chang Yaya's hair was also tied up, and she looked different. When the few of them returned to the Gu residence, Gu Yundong specially made room for the newlyweds. She pulled Xiao Qingyuan and ran away. They still had to look for the village chief to settle the household registration first. On the other hand, Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya sat alone in the room with uncomfortable expressions. They clearly had a lot to say 2 days ago, but suddenly, it seemed like they could not say anything. Seeing that they couldn't stay silent any longer, Gu Xiaoxi swallowed his saliva and spoke first. By the way, why don't you agree to hold the banquet? If you're worried that the Zhou family will cause trouble, we can set up 2 tables and only entertain close friends. No, I just don't like it here. Chang Yaya said, I've lived in Great Rock Village since I was young. I don't have any friends or relatives. Even if I'm supposed to invite someone, I don't know who I should invite. If I set up a wine banquet, it feels like it's just for fun. I don't want to Gu Xiaoxi understood. Although Chang Yaya had clansmen, she did not feel the warmth of her clansmen. Not long ago, she was almost pulled out of the pond by these clansmen. No one pleaded for her. No one believed that she was innocent. Everyone could not wait for her to die. She was bitterly disappointed. If she held a wedding, she believed that no one would sincerely wish her well. If that was the case, there was no point in hosting a banquet. Gu Xiaoxi fell silent. He couldn't help but reach out to cover her hand and say, in the future, I'll dote on you and treat you well. Chang Yaya's eyes were sour. Yes, now, she had a husband. Moreover, this husband looked very good. She looked up at Gu Xiaoxi and smiled again. The tears in her eyes fell without warning. Gu Xiaoxi's heart ached terribly and he reached out to wipe them away. After Gu Yundong and Xiao Qingyuan settled the matter, they began to consider whether they should return to the Gu residence. If they went back like this, would they interrupt something? Why don't we stay in the county for the night and come back tomorrow? All right, after we sell Uncle's house tomorrow, we can set off home. Chapter 1141, Inexplicable Silver. Chapter 1141, Inexplicable Silver. Gu Yundong and Xiao Qingyuan decisively went to a county inn to stay for the night. Because he had promised the county magistrate of Heiyuan County that he would go to the county office before he left, Xiao Qingyuan went to the county magistrate to fulfill his promise and thank him. Gu Yundong did not follow her. She walked around the streets by herself. It was unknown what day it was today, but the streets were still very lively at night. There was also the night market. Gu Yundong wanted to see if there were any local specialties here, so that she could bring some back to eat. Unexpectedly, just as they reached the third stall, a complaining voice suddenly came from behind. How unlucky. What kind of people are the Zhou family? They actually used me. Teach them a lesson later. Don't let them think that the dignified young master of the Qiu family is so easy to bully. Young Master Qiu. Gu Yundong raised her eyebrows and turned to look at the people behind him. That person also happened to look up. When he saw Gu Yundong, his eyes lit up. He took a few steps forward and stood in front of her. He said, Miss, are you married? Gu Yundong was speechless. She should look different from Hong Xiaoni, right? Or was there a sequelae from being hurt by Hong Xiaoni, so her aesthetic standards had changed? On the other hand, Qiu Da, who was behind young Master Qiu, felt that Gu Yundong looked familiar. After a while, she suddenly widened her eyes. Seeing that young master was still going to flirt, she quickly pulled young Master Qiu to the back. Young master, don't do that. Young Master Qiu was originally in a position, but he was suddenly pulled and almost fell. He could not maintain his image at all. He immediately became angry and kicked Qiu Da. You dog slave. The young master has always been too good to you. Do you believe that he'll beat you to death for being so rude? Qiu Da could not cry out in pain after being kicked. He could only say in a low voice, Young master, that's the lady beside that lord. What lord? I don't know what you're talking about. Young Master Qiu suddenly turned to look at Gu Yundong in shock. The latter crossed his arms and sneered as he watched the interaction between the master and servant. Young Master Qiu's heart skipped a beat, and he suddenly pulled Qiu Da away. Hurry. Let's go back to the residence. From today onwards, I won't go out for a month. Recently, I have been unlucky. However, after taking a few steps, she returned. He looked at Gu Yundong and thought for a moment. Then, he took out a banknote from his sleeve and silently handed it over. He tried his best to put on a smile. This is an apology to Guayuro Gu Xiaoxi. I know the ins and outs of the matter, but miss, you have to make that lord believe me. I really didn't know that Hong Xiaoni was so vicious that she almost killed her husband. But no matter what, this matter started because of me. If I hadn't taken a fancy to Hong Xiaoni, she wouldn't have such thoughts. I heard that little brother Gu has suffered a lot. Take this to buy him some food to nourish himself. Gu Yundong silently took the banknote and looked at it. 50 taels. He was quite generous. Seeing that she had accepted it, young Master Qiu quickly cupped his hands again. That's all. Goodbye. Also, it's not safe at night. It's better for you not to shop alone. If you meet a lecher like me, a guy no, in short, goodbye. Young Master Qiu quickly finished speaking and quickly ran away with Qiu. Chapter 1142, Very Intense. Chapter 1142, Very Intense. Gu Yundong's mouth twitched as she watched the two of them walk further and further away. She sighed inwardly. She seemed to have not said a word just now. A person couldn't be too dignified. Look at how scared he was. He didn't want the money after losing it. Gu Yundong silently kept the banknote and turned to look at the stall owner who had watched the entire process with his mouth agape. He said, "Don't think about reaping what you sow, people still have to do business properly. Hurry up and shout." Then, Gu Yundong turned around and returned to the inn. After all, the eyes of the stall owner were shining. In order not to be robbed, it was safer for her to hide in the house with a huge sum of money. When Xiao Qingyuan returned, he saw Gu Yundong looking at a banknote. He was blushing. He must have been drinking with the county magistrate. Gu Yundong quickly poured hot water for him to drink and asked the waiter to bring a basin of water to wipe his face. How did it go with the county magistrate? Everything else is fine, Butayuro. He's a little too enthusiastic. Really, that enthusiasm was because he did not care about Xiao Qingyuan's cold face at all. He rubbed his temples and asked her where the banknote in her hand came from. Gu Yundong told her about meeting young Master Qiu on the street. Of course, he did not mention that young Master Qiu had asked if he was married. He only said that he had given the banknote to apologize to his uncle. Xiao Qingyuan was silent. After a while, he said, "Uncle seems to be quite rich now." The Zhou family had lost 50 taels of silver, and young Master Qiu had lost another 50 taels. There was 100 taels of silver here. Even if she asked the villagers of Great Rock Village, few of them might have 100 taels of silver in their hands. Gu Yundong patted his shoulder. "It's all thanks to you. Wasn't that so? Which of these two parties didn't give so much for Xiao Qingyuan's sake?" However, with this money, his uncle's future would definitely be better and better. Gu Yundong put away the banknote and would give them to Gu Xiaoxi tomorrow. The next day, she and Xiao Qingyuan directly left the room and went to Great Rock Village. When they arrived at the Gu residence, they saw Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya with sweet expressions and exuding an aura of love that could not be ignored. They cooperated well and baked pancakes in the kitchen. The two of them did not talk. From time to time, they would look at each other and turn their faces away shyly. Even after a long time, there were only 2 or 3 pancakes. This speed was no different from a snail. Gu Yundong had been leaning against the kitchen door for a long time, but they did not notice her at all. She felt that if she didn't make a sound, she would probably turn into a stone statue and no one would be able to save her. "Uncle." The two people in the kitchen were shocked and looked at the door. When they saw Gu Yundong, the two of them immediately felt embarrassed. Gu Yundong could not help but tremble after being fed another mouthful of dog food. Damn it, she had watched her parents show off their love at home. It was not easy for her to go out alone with brother Xiao, but she still had to be shown off by her uncle. They simply did not take her seriously. She also had brother Xiao, okay? "Yundong, you're back." Gu Xiaoxi quickly washed her hands and came over. "Have you and Qingyuan eaten? The porridge isn't ready yet. Have a piece of pancake first." Of course they had eaten. Look at the time. They had already returned from the county city, all right? It seemed that their wedding night was very intense. Gu Yundong hurriedly hit her own head to clear the messy thoughts in her mind. She said to Gu Xiaoxi, "Let's get down to business first." Chapter 1143, Enough Silver. Chapter 1143, enough silver. Gu Xiaoxi thought for a moment before remembering what the important matter was. She quickly nodded and said to Chang Yaya, Yaya, bake more for now. We still have to eat on the way. I'll go to Chief Chang and sell the house. Well, set off home in the afternoon. Okay, go ahead. Gu Xiaoxi and Gu Yundong came out. Gu Yundong was blinded by the happiness on his face and quickly ran to Xiao Qingyuan's side. The three of them went to Chief Chang's house and asked him to estimate the value of Gu Xiaoxi's house. In the end, Chief Chang bought Gu Xiaoxi's house with 6 taels of silver in the name of the clan. Gu Xiaoxi's house was not big, and it was sold in a hurry. The location was not good either, so he sold it for 6 taels of silver. In fact, if not for Gu Yundong and his companion, Chief Chang would have lowered the price. For Gu Xiaoxi, it was all right. Back then, when he built the house, he didn't have much money on him. He borrowed some from Uncle Zhou and built everything from scratch. It could be said that more than half of the house was built by him alone. Therefore, this house was his hard work. To be honest, he was a little reluctant to part with it. However, he was even more reluctant to part with his siblings. They were all waiting for him to go back. At the thought of this, Gu Xiaoxi couldn't wait any longer. After signing the contract with Chief Chang and taking the silver, the three of them returned. When they got home, Chang Yaya had already cooked porridge and prepared pancakes. After the 4 of them ate, Gu Yundong gave the 50 taels of silver to Gu Xiaoxi and told her about meeting young Master Zhou on the way. Gu Xiaoxi was stunned. He looked at the silver in disbelief. There's silver again? Had he been lucky recently? Why was it his turn to receive all the good things? His niece was still alive, and his brother and sister were waiting for him at home. The Zhou family had given him 50 taels of silver as compensation, and he had even married a wife he liked. Now, he had money. Gu Xiaoxi couldn't help but look up at the sky. Why did it feel like a pie had suddenly fallen from the sky? Chang Yaya was also shocked. She felt like she was in a dream. Gu Yundong stuffed the banknote into his hands. All right, put them away quickly. When we return to Yongfu village, you still have to build a house, set up a feast, buy land, or start a small business. This 100 taels might not be enough. Gu Xiaoxi blinked. How is it not enough? This is 100 taels. It's definitely enough. Xiao Qingyuan pursed his lips. I hope you'll still think that way when you reach Yongfu village. Gu Yundong let the 2 of them digest it and quickly began to pack her things. Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya did not have much luggage. Gu Xiaoxi only had 2 sets of clothes. Gu Yundong looked at the 2 sets of clothes that were filled with patches and cursed Hong Xiaoni in his heart. She glared at Gu Xiaoxi resentfully. Chang Yaya's dowry box had already been moved over. She didn't have many things. The box was only half full. When everything was loaded onto the carriage, Gu Xiaoxi took one last look at the house before locking the door and handing the key to Chief Chang. When their carriage left, everyone in Great Rock Village knew. Many people came out to take a look. Seeing that Chang Yaya was also here, everyone realized that she and Gu Xiaoxi were actually married. Eldest Aunt Zhou was also in the crowd. When she saw Chang Yaya in her new clothes with a flushed face, she was furious. When she returned, she could not help but find trouble with Hong Xiaoni again. Chapter 1144, Why didn't you mention the Gu family? Chapter 1144, Why didn't you mention the Gu family? You don't know how well that Gu Xiaoxi treated Chang Yaya. He even had to support her when she gets into the carriage. Their new clothes are very eye-catching. In the future, with a nephew-in-law who is a high official, Gu Xiaoxi will be rich. Chang Yaya will also rise in status. She might even have servants serving her in the future. Hong Xiaoni almost went crazy when she heard Aunt Zhou's words. How could it be? How could it be? Gu Xiaoxi had just divorced her and she was already married to Chang Yaya. How could he dare? She was clearly his wife. She should have followed him to enjoy wealth and glory. She should have servants to serve her. Why did he give it all to Chang Yaya? Why? Hong Xiaoni looked at her hands and slowly smiled again. Right, she was the one who personally pushed this fortune out. Why didn't she take action a few days later? Just a few more days and Gu Xiaoxi's nephew-in-law would have arrived. She would have struck gold. Eldest Aunt Zhou, who was outside, felt terrified when she heard her laughter. She quickly shook herself and went to work. Gu Yundong and the other three had already arrived at Heiyuan County. They first bought something in the county and paid the driver before setting off again. Xiao Qingyuan drove the carriage. Gu Xiaoxi was about the same age as him and was a man, so he naturally wanted to give it a try. Therefore, he sat on the shaft of the carriage and learned from Xiao Qingyuan. Only Gu Yundong and Chang Yaya were left in the carriage. Chang Yaya was a little embarrassed and nervous. She thought of how the Chang family's wife had told her about how she should get along with her mother-in-law and sister-in-law the night before the wedding. She could not help but whisper to Gu Yundong, Yundong, can you tell me about your parents? Chang Yaya did not know much about the Gu family. After all, she did not have much time to chat with Gu Xiaoxi in private. She only knew that Gu Xiaoxi had an older brother and sister. They were separated when they escaped from the famine. The older brother was Gu Yundong's father. He had studied and was a very powerful person whom Gu Xiaoxi admired. Her sister-in-law had hit her head a few years ago and was now like a child. Also, Gu Dafeng and his wife were easy to get along with. And how many children her brother and sister had. Chang Yaya didn't know anything else, especially about Gu Xiaoxi's parents. He didn't even mention them. Gu Yundong thought about it and said, then I'll tell you from the beginning. Actually, my father, eldest aunt, and younger uncle are half-brothers. The original Gu familiar, Gu Yundong told her about the Gu family without bias. Since Chang Yaya was married to his uncle, she had to know about his background. Chang Yaya listened attentively. When she heard that Gu Xiaoxi was bullied by her two biological brothers because her mother didn't like her, her face was filled with heartache. Slowly, she understood why he did not mention his parents or return to his hometown. Chang Yaya heaved a sigh of relief inexplicably. Madame Zhou was not easy to get along with. If she had such a mother-in-law, her future would probably not be good. Now that she was so far away from her mother-in-law and did not interact with her, she was the one making the decisions at home. Her life would definitely be much easier. Moreover, her brother, sister-in-law, and elder sister-in-law were all sensible people. Chang Yaya felt that she was already better off married than many girls. However, she was still nervous. After all, Gu Xiaoxi had never asked his brother and sister for their opinions when he got married. She was afraid that they would not be satisfied with her. Chang Yaya slowly approached the Xuanhe prefecture with trepidation. Chapter 1145, Come and Meet Uncle. Chapter 1145, Come and Meet Uncle. Gu Xiaoxi had been to the Xuanhe prefecture once, but Chang Yaya had never been there. Looking at the tall city gate, the anxiety in her heart reached an unprecedented peak. Upon seeing this, Gu Xiaoxi hurriedly reached out to shake his hand and whispered, "It's all right. My eldest sister and second brother are very good people. They will like you." Chang Yaya nodded, but she still could not control her nervousness. Gu Xiaoxi quickly diverted her attention. He looked at the city wall and said, "If only I had stayed in the Xuanhe prefecture for a few more days when I escaped. I might have met Yundong. Then, I wouldn't have to waste 2 years. It's such a pity." However, on second thought, that was not right. Wouldn't he miss Chang Yaya too? Gu Xiaoxi quickly looked at her. The latter was puzzled. "What's wrong?" Gu Yundong shook her head speechlessly and turned to look out of the car window. He said to Xiao Qingyuan on the shaft, "Why are there so many people queuing up to enter the city today?" Xiao Qingyuan said, "I'll go ask." He jumped off the carriage and walked forward. Not long after, he returned and said to her with a smile, "The people from the Nye residence are back. There are a few carriages and some goods in front of them. They're all queuing up, so the line is slow." Gu Yundong was delighted. So Nye Shuang and Aunt Kor back too. They had gone to the capital and been there for a few months. Previously, they said that it was because of Nyakong. Now that they were back, the problem must have been resolved. I think so. Xiao Qingyuan nodded. Do you want to go and greet them? Gu Yundong looked up at the long line and then turned back to look at youngest Uncle Gu. She said, another day. They just came back today. I'm afraid they're very tired. It's better to bring youngest uncle home first. Okay. Xiao Qingyuan got into the shaft again and slowly moved forward with the team. When they entered the city, the sky was already a little dark. Xiao Qingyuan sped up and drove straight to the small courtyard. Gu Xiaoxi wasn't familiar with the prefectural city, but he could tell that it had changed a lot from the last time he came. It had only been 2 years, but it felt much more prosperous. Yundong said that she had a shop in Xuanhe Prefecture. How powerful was she to open a shop in the prefectural city? He had been looking for the shop called Gus along the way, but unfortunately, he couldn't see it. The carriage only gradually slowed down when it entered the school district. Unexpectedly, when it was about to reach the entrance of the alley, Xiao Qingyuan suddenly stopped. Gu Yundong had just lifted the curtain to look outside when she saw a few familiar children playing at the entrance of the alley. She was about to greet her when Gu Yunka saw her. The girl immediately rushed over like a cannonball and shouted happily, eldest sister, you're back?" Hearing the crisp voice, Gu Xiaoxi hurriedly lifted the curtain and saw that lively figure running in front of her. Gu Xiaoxi found the shape of the girl quite familiar. Xiao Qingyuan carried her into the carriage. The little girl immediately crawled in and threw herself into Gu Yundong's arms. Eldest sister, you're finally back. Father and eldest aunt are waiting for you. In order not to make them too sad, I dragged second brother and cousin to the alley to play. This way, I can see you the moment you come home. Am I very smart? She puffed out her chest and looked like she wanted to be praised. Gu Yundong laughed uncontrollably and nodded vigorously. Yes, Kiki is the smartest. Come, meet uncle. Chapter 1146, Too Tragic Chapter 1146, Too Tragic Gu Yundong turned the little girl around so that she could greet Gu Xiaoxi. Gu Xiaoxi looked at her with a face full of excitement and tears in his eyes. 2 years ago, she was a little girl who could only sleep in a wicker basket and could not even walk. Now, she could run and jump healthily. Good. That's good. Are you Kiki? The little girl nodded vigorously. Are you uncle? Gu Xiaoxi reached out and carried the little girl over. Yes, I'm your uncle. Little Kiki has grown taller and prettier. The young lady immediately covered her face shyly. Then, she paused and lowered her head. She took out a date from her small bag and stuffed it into Gu Xiaoxi's mouth. After some thought, she took out dried fruits and placed them in his hand. Then, she raised her head and looked at him carefully. She muttered softly, "You're still too thin." Hence, she continued to dig around in her bag. After taking out a handful of melon seeds and stuffing them into the pocket of her clothes, she removed the entire bag from her neck. After a moment of silence, she gritted her teeth and stuffed it all into Gu Xiaoxi's arms. Gu Xiaoxi was speechless. Gu Yundong almost died of laughter when she saw the fearless expression on her face. Why did you give all your precious snacks to youngest uncle? Out of sight, out of mind. The little girl focused on Gu Yundong and said, Eldest aunt said that younger uncle had suffered a lot. He must not have been able to eat his fill in the past 2 years, and his clothes are not warm. He might even be missing an arm or a leg. That's really pitiful. I saw just now that what eldest aunt said is actually true. Younger uncle is so thin that he doesn't have any fat. I'll give him some nourishment. As she had stuffed a date into his mouth, Gu Xiaoxi had no choice but to eat it first. He had just finished eating and was about to speak when he was so frightened that he almost swallowed the core. He quickly coughed twice. Chang Yaya quickly made him spit out the core and let him take a sip of water from the water bag. Only then did he catch his breath. The little girl looked puzzled. Was that dainty euro poisonous? Gu Xiaoxi waved her hand, smiled, and hung the small bag back around her neck. He said, "Little uncle is quite good. He's not very miserable." "Yes, you are. I really am not. It's too tragic." The little girl was very determined. A euro, Gu Yundong held back her laughter. Two voices finally came from outside. "Eldest sister, let's go home first. Father and aunt are waiting at home." "That's right. My mother and uncle must be anxious." Yunshu and Yuanji were a step behind Kiki, so when they saw Kiki being carried into the carriage, they noticed that other than eldest sister and uncle, there was also a woman in the carriage. This should be little Aunt Hung Xiaoni, right? Although they were also very excited and happy, they were already men now. Men couldn't casually squeeze in, so they stood by the carriage and waited until they were almost done speaking before reminding them. Gu Xiaoxi looked at the two children standing in front of the carriage, his eyes shining. "Yunshu, Yuanji. Uncle. Uncle. Welcome home." Gu Xiaoxi was excited. Really, they were all here. It was great that everyone was here. "Uncle, sit down first. Let's go back." Yunshu and Yuanji immediately turned around. They didn't get into the carriage but ran back to the alley. Gu Xiaoxi became even more excited and did not notice that Gu Yunka was looking at Chang Yaya curiously. It was Gu Yundong who introduced them. "This is little aunt." Chapter 1147, Finally Reunited. Chapter 1147, Finally reunited. When the carriage arrived at the small courtyard, Gu Dajiang and Gu Dafeng were already standing at the door and looking over anxiously. Seeing that the carriage had stopped, the two of them hurriedly went forward and lifted the curtain. They happened to meet Gu Xiaoxi, who had also come out. The three of them were stunned for a moment. Then, Gu Dafeng's eyes turned red. "It's little brother. It's little brother. You've grown up and lost weight." Tears welled up in Gu Xiaoxi's eyes and he immediately jumped down from the carriage. "Big sister." Gu Dafeng grabbed his hand and sized him up for a while. "Did you suffer a lot?" "It's fine. Let's go home. With eldest sister and second brother around, you don't have to be afraid of anything in the future." "Ah." Gu Dafeng grabbed his hand, her heart aching. He had really lost weight. Although he had never been fat when he was in old Gus' house, he was not so thin that he had lost his appearance. It was obvious that he had suffered a lot. Gu Dajiang stood at the side and slowly calmed down. Seeing that they were standing outside the door, he quickly said, all right. Go in first. Don't block the road." The group quickly entered the courtyard. Only then did the alley go smoothly. However, the neighbors were still very curious. Why was the Gu family always so lively? Which relatives had come? There was a heated discussion outside the door, but behind the door, there was already an excited scene. Gu Dajiang patted Gu Xiaoxi's shoulder and sighed. "You've grown up." It had been 2 years since they last met, but there was a hint of frost on his face. Gu Xiaoxi wiped her face. "Second brother, I'm sorry. Back then, I lost my sister-in-law and niece. You clearly entrusted them to me, but I still alright, let's not talk about this. It's all in the past. Yundong and the others are fine. Don't take it to heart and add to your burden." As Gu Dajiang spoke, he saw Chang Yaya standing at the side. He immediately smiled and asked, "Is this your wife?" Gu Xiaoxi suddenly came to his senses and hurriedly pulled the extremely nervous Chang Yaya to his side. He said, "Yes, this is my wife. Eldest sister, second brother, I didn't tell you guys about my marriage. Don't be angry with me." "Sai, why should we be angry? We're too happy." Gu Dafeng waved her hand and pulled Chang Yaya to her side. She sized her up for a while and said with a smile, "You're Xiaoni, right? You're really good looking. I can tell at a glance that you're a good girl." The scene fell silent. Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya's expressions changed slightly. Gu Yundong coughed lightly and said, "Eldest aunt, this is little aunt. Her name is Chang Yaya." Gu Dafeng was stunned, and the others were also surprised. Wait, wasn't her name Hong Xiaoni? Gu Dafeng had even specially gone to the Su family to ask Mother Su these few days to confirm that she was called Hong Xiaoni. Gu Xiaoxi said, "Big sister, her name is Chang Yaya. As for Hong Xiaoni Euro, I have nothing to do with her anymore. Anyway, things are a little complicated. I'll tell you guys later." Gu Dafeng nodded repeatedly. "I was wrong. I deserve to be punished. Your name is Yaya, right? Don't be nervous. Live a good life with Xiaoxi in the future. I will love you too." It was obvious that Chang Yaya was an obedient and diligent girl. In eldest Aunt Gus' eyes, Gu Xiaoxi was like her son. Now, she looked at Chang Yaya as if she was her daughter-in-law. Chang Yaya pursed her lips and nodded slightly, still looking very nervous. When the group finally sat down and began to talk, Chang Yaya finally heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 1148, Fortunately, it's you. Chapter 1148, Fortunately, it's you. Gu Xiaoxi was the first to explain the situation between Chang Yaya and Hong Xiaoni. She briefly recounted how he and Hong Xiaoni had arrived at Great Rock Village, how they had lived in Great Rock Village, and how she had wanted to enter the Chiu mansion as a concubine some time ago, so she had colluded with the Zhou chief to plot against him and Chang Yaya. In the end, she had met Gu Yundong. The house was silent except for Gu Xiaoxi's calm voice. After he finished speaking, Gu Dafeng suddenly slapped the table. "Why is this woman so vicious? If she wants to climb up the social ladder, so be it. Would Xiaoxi stop her from going? She insisted on harming two innocent people. Such a woman should be divorced and stay in the village for the rest of her life to drown in everyone's saliva. It's too disgusting." The others nodded, and Gu Dajiang clenched his fists. After a while, he looked at Xiao Qingyuan, who inexplicably felt a chill run down his spine. Unexpectedly, Gu Dajiang said, "Fortunately, it was you and Yundong who went to Great Rock Village. If you had brought your eldest aunt and me along, we would probably have been delayed on the way. If we were half a day late, I'm afraid we wouldn't have seen Xiaoxi again. Thankfully, it was you." Therefore, he did not pursue the matter of Xiao Wen's absence. Gu Dajiang was a smart person. Xiao Wen wasn't among the things Gu Xiaoxi had said. In addition, they hadn't seen him when they returned to the small courtyard this time. Gu Dajiang guessed that Xiao Wen might not have followed them to Great Rock Village. This brat a euro. When Gu Dafeng heard Gu Dajiang's words, he looked relieved and afraid. "That's right. It was so close. I almost didn't make it in time. When I think about how they wanted to burn Xiaoxi to death, my heart beat rapidly. Alright, the matter is over. Now that it's a blessing in disguise, everyone is happy. Yes, yes, yes. In the future, if anyone bullies you, Big Sister will be the first to not let them off." The Gu family was very happy that day. Gu Xiaoxi's return meant that their family had finally reunited. As for the Gu family, other than mentioning how to bring Yuanji back, there was nothing else. There was no need for Gu Xiaoxi to know what happened to the Gu family. Gu Xiaoxi was different from Gu Dajiang and the others. Madame Zhou was his biological mother after all. Although she did not treat him well, she did not spare no effort to persecute and torture him like she did to Gu Dajiang. In any case, Gu Xiaoxi would be settled in the Xuanhe prefecture in the future. On this day, the Gu family's candles burned for the entire night without extinguishing. The joy of reuniting made them feel as if they were not tired at all. They only wanted to recount every detail during the 2 years of separation. Gu Xiaoxi knew that Gu Dajiang had passed the prefecture examination and was in second place. He knew that Gu Chuyue had tortured eldest sister and brother-in-law for an entire year before she was finally free. Now, she had already started carving wood and was selling it at the market. The business was actually not bad. He knew that Yundong not only had a shop in the prefectural city, but he also had a workshop and fruit forest at home. He knew that Yunshu and Yuanji were both studying in school. He knew that Yunka had become a foodie who was especially passionate about cooking. He knew that his sister-in-law's condition was under control. As long as they found Bai Muzi, she would be completely cured. Their lives were getting better and better. In the end, Gu Dafeng asked Gu Xiaoxi, although you and Yaya have signed the marriage contract, you still have to hold the banquet. After all, Yaya abandoned everything and followed you all the way here. We can't let her suffer. Chapter 1149, The Best Choice. Chapter 1149, The Best Choice. Chang Yaya was stunned. She looked up at Gu Dafeng in disbelief. After she followed Gu Xiaoxi and rejected Chief Chang's suggestion to hold a banquet, she never thought of wearing the wedding dress again. She did not expect that her eldest aunt would actually take the initiative to mention it. She looked at Gu Xiaoxi, who immediately nodded. I think so too. I also want to hold a banquet and let eldest sister and second brother watch us get married. Without the blessings and witness of his family, the marriage would not be perfect. Chang Yaya pursed her lips and lowered her head slightly. Slowly, the corners of her mouth curled up. Gu Dajiang glanced at Xiao Qingyuan again, and the latter's back stiffened. The frequency of his future father-in-law looking at him today was a little high. Unexpectedly, Gu Dajiang said, "There's a good day at the end of August. I've gotten someone to calculate it. It's the best and most suitable day for wedding this year. If we hold a banquet on this day, the new couple will be harmonious for the rest of their lives. I originally wanted Yundong to get married that day, but you're her uncle and have already signed the marriage contract. Why don't you get married first and let them choose another date next year? Next year? Definitely not." Xiao Qingyuan hurriedly said, "Why don't we get married together? It'll be lively. Uncle hasn't been in the Shuana prefecture for long, and he doesn't know many people. It's a little cold to hold a wedding banquet alone. Why don't we hold a big one? Besides, although uncle's seniority is high, he's about the same age as me. Wouldn't it be a good thing for two couples to hold the wedding together?" Gu Dajiang looked at him with a faint smile. "It's rare to hear you say so much in one go." He did not retort and seemed to agree. Xiao Qingyuan heaved a sigh of relief and couldn't help but smile. Unexpectedly, when he and Yundong went to Great Rock Village, Uncle Gu had already chosen the date. It was already May, and there were still 3 to 4 months to the end of August. At that time, the weather had already begun to cool down, so it was not very painful. "All right, it's getting late. Go and rest first. We'll talk later." Gu Dajiang hurried everyone to rest. It was already very late, so everyone rested in the small courtyard. They could still stay if they squeezed. Gu Yundong realized that the house was still too small. Gu Xiaoxi and Chang Yaya were in the same room. Even though they had been traveling for a day, Chang Yaya did not feel sleepy at all. After a while, she grabbed his hand and suddenly whispered, "Your brother and sister are fine. I'll get along well with them in the future." The only response she got was Gu Xiaoxi's steady breathing. She turned her head to look at him and moved her head closer to him. Gu Xiaoxi subconsciously hugged her tightly and covered her with the blanket. After a long time, a low voice sounded in the room again. "Marrying you might be the best choice I've made in my life." As everyone had chatted late the day before, it was almost noon when they woke up the next day. Gu Yundong still had to find Aunt Ku and bring Kiki along. As for Yunshu and Yuanji, they were going to attend classes at Tianhai Academy today. It was said that a rather famous teacher was coming. It was a rare opportunity for Yunshu and her brother. They couldn't miss it. Before Gu Yundong left, he asked Gu Xiaoxi, "Do you want me to bring you out for a walk?" Gu Xiaoxi thought for a moment. "All right." Hence, Gu Yundong brought the two of them into the carriage. However, just as the carriage drove out of the alley, another person entered. Chapter 1150, Get Out of the Carriage. Chapter 1150, Get Out of the Carriage. The 4-person party became a 5-person party. Gu Yundong looked at Xiao Qingyuan speechlessly. "Don't you have to report to the prefecture magistrate?" "There's no hurry. It doesn't matter if he waits a day or two. I'll ask Aunt Ku about the situation in the capital." They went to Aunt Ke's house, but she was not there. The neighbor said that she went to New Tea Pavilion. Gu Yundong did not expect Aunt Ku to be so dedicated to her work. She had just returned and had already gone to work the next day. The carriage could only turn around and head towards New Tea Pavilion. However, halfway there, Gu Yundong chased Xiao Qingyuan and Gu Xiaoxi down. Gu Xiaoxi was dumbfounded. Why did you ask me to come down? Can't I go to that New Tea Pavilion? New Tea Pavilion only serves female guests. You're a man. What if you scare those female guests? Gu Xiaoxi widened her eyes. There's such a tea house. Gu Yundong nodded. So, let Brother Xiao show you around other places. I'll bring Aunt over to take a look. We'll have dinner at Jinxiu restaurant later. As she spoke, she got Lu Xing to drive away, leaving Gu Xiaoxi and Xiao Qingyuan looking at each other. The two of them stood by the street for a long time before Gu Xiaoxi asked, So, where are we going now? Xiao Qingyuan thought about it and said, Jinxiu restaurant. Gu Xiaoxi was speechless. Wasn't it supposed to be the last place where they gathered for dinner? However, Xiao Qingyuan had already taken the lead and walked towards the Jinxiu restaurant. To bring a man shopping? Forget it, let's go to the restaurant to listen to books. It was said that the Jinxiu restaurant had also brought in storytellers recently and began to talk about the cowpox vaccination method. It was quite strange. This matter had already been a few months ago. How could it still be so popular now? Gu Yundong did not know that Xiao Qingyuan had gone straight to their destination to wait for them. She introduced the New Tea Pavilion to Chang Yaya. The New Tea Pavilion mainly entertains female guests. There are also children who like to go there and meet new friends. The little girl, who was peeling the melon seeds one by one and planning to eat them, looked up in confusion when she heard her name. Gu Yundong raised her hand and patted her head. She took away the melon seeds that Kiki had placed on the low table and stuffed them into her mouth. Gu Yunka? What happened just now? Where were her melon seeds? The most popular thing in New Tea Pavilion is milk tea. However, it's not good to drink too much milk tea. It's easy to gain weight. Therefore, the female shop assistants will remind those madams and young ladies who often order milk tea to try other things, such as flower tea, black tea, ginger tea, fruit tea, and some snacks and pastries. They're all selling well. You can try them when we reach the shop. Chang Yaya quickly shook her head. They sound very expensive. I don't want them. She had heard it clearly. Yundong said that the people who went to the shop were all madams and young ladies. It was obvious that they were rich. Their food and drinks were definitely not cheap. Kiki peeled a few more melon seeds. Just as she raised her head to rest, she replied, It's expensive if they're sold to others, but it won't be expensive for little Aunt to drink. Chang Yaya liked Kiki very much and immediately asked her with a smile, Why? Because my sister owns the shop. She thought for a moment and shook her head. No, my sister owns it with someone else. Chang Yaya suddenly raised her head. Shayuro opened it. As they spoke, the carriage stopped at the entrance of New Tea Pavilion. Chapter 1151, She's Too Attractive. Chapter 1151, She's Too Attractive. Gu Yundong was the first to get out of the carriage. She carried the little girl who was busy stuffing melon seeds into her mouth. When Chang Yaya came down, she was shocked. This was New Tea Pavilion? Wasn't it just a small shop? It was actually so big. Moreover, this New Tea Pavilion was too beautifully renovated and rich. There were actually 2 floors, and it was filled with guests, all of whom had high statuses. Chang Yaya could not move her feet for a moment. It was only when Kiki blocked her and Gu Yundong from both sides that she brought her into New Tea Pavilion. Gu Yundong had not been here for a while. The New Tea Pavilion was even livelier than before. It was not even noon, but the lobby on the first floor was already full. The shop assistants were a little busy. Lan Huar was also there. She had just returned from delivering a cup of milk tea. When she saw Gu Yundong, her face lit up and she hurriedly welcomed him. Boss Gu, you're here. What do you want to drink? I'll send it to you. There was an empty room in New Tea Pavilion for the owners. Gu Yundong only sat in the other rooms when she first came. Later on, she went to specific rooms. Gu Yundong looked around and asked her, "Where's Aunt Ku?" Aunt Ku and Madame Chiu are talking inside. They seem to be discussing something. I'll call them. Lan Huar was about to leave. Gu Yundong stopped her. No need. Let's wait for them to discuss it first. This is my aunt. Bring us 2 cups of milk tea and 1 cup of milk for Kiki. All right, boss. Gu Yundong brought Chang Yaya, who was very cautious and did not know where to put her hands and feet, into the backyard. Only then did Chang Yaya realize that this new tea pavilion not only had 2 floors, but there was also such a huge courtyard at the back that had so many rooms. Kiki led the way with familiarity. She didn't expect to almost bump into a young lady just as she turned a corner. The young lady was about Kiki's age. Her face was filled with tears, as if she had just cried. Kiki thought that she had scared her to tears. She quickly touched her face and felt that it was not scary. Then, she said nervously, "I'm sorry. I walked too quickly." "Don't cry. Does it hurt? I'll blow on it for you, okay? Let me tell you, my blowing is especially good. My brother fell and he was painful. I'll blow on him and he'll be fine." "Really?" The young lady opposite her was stunned. Before she could say anything, a servant girl ran over from afar. "Fifth miss, so you're here. Why did you run out? Why didn't you tell me? What if we can't find you?" The 5th miss said unhappily, "Third sister and 4th sister both despise me for being young and don't bring me along to play. I don't care. I don't want to play with them anymore. I've found a new friend. I'll ignore them in the future and won't give them anything to eat." Then, she grabbed Kiki's hand and snorted at the maid. Kiki blinked. So she had made new friends again? Was she so attractive? It was unbelievable. The servant girl did not know whether to laugh or cry. It was useless to snort at her. She was just a servant girl. She could not force 3rd miss and 4th miss to play with her. She looked up and was stunned when she saw Gu Yundong. "Are you boss Gu?" Gu Yundong nodded. "I am." She smiled at the little girl and asked, "What happened?" The maidservant shook her head. How could she tell anyone about her master? However, the 5th young lady was very angry and said it out loud. Chapter 1152, Gu Yundong choked. Chapter 1152, Gu Yundong choked. "My 3rd and 4th sisters are drawing, writing, and playing chess in the house. I want to play too, but they say that I'm young and won't play with me." "How am I young? I'm already 4 years old." When Kiki heard this, her eyes lit up. "You're 4 years old? I'm 5. Why don't you be 5 too? This way, we'll be the same age and can play together." 5th miss held her hand. "Really? Then, that's fine. I'll be 5 years old." Gu Yundong was speechless. "Huh? You can be however old you want?" The 2 of them did not see the shocked expressions of the 3 adults present. They had already walked hand in hand to a room not far away. The maidservants suddenly reacted and hurriedly wanted to stop the 5th Mississippi. Gu Yundong immediately said, "It's fine. Let her play in our room for a while. I'll watch over her. Don't worry. Butayuro, alternatively, you can follow us to the side room to watch over the 5th Mississippi." The maidservant hesitated for a moment before saying, "Then I'll have to trouble Boss Gu." She did not have to take care of 5th miss alone. 3rd miss and 4th miss were in another room. After all, Boss Gu was the owner of New Tea Pavilion. She valued the reputation and safety of New Tea Pavilion the most. With her around, nothing would happen. Gu Yundong waited for the maidservant to leave before leading Chang Yaya, who had been silent, into the room. The 2 young ladies in the room had already started chatting. Their words were innocent and cute, but they spoke seriously. "I've already decided that I don't like my 3rd and 4th sisters anymore. Unless they beg me, I won't talk to them." Kiki nodded. "Yes, my 2nd brother often begs me. How does he beg you? Kiki tilted her head and thought for a moment before saying, he begs me in his heart. I can hear him. Yundong almost spat out a mouthful of water. You are good. Why didn't I know that there was such a superpower? Fifth Miss cried like a storm. But I can't hear third sister and fourth sister begging me. What should I do? Kiki patted her shoulder and comforted her. Let me teach you. Come, in your mind, imagine your third and fourth sisters begging you. Fifth Miss closed her eyes and thought hard. Then, she nodded. I thought of it. Yes, think a little harder. Do you feel relieved now? I've vented my anger. Do you forgive them? They're forgiven. That's good. Pfturo cough, cough, cough. Yundong choked in the end. She clutched her stomach and almost stood up. Her face was red. Kiki panicked and quickly ran to her. She tried her best to stand on her toes and pat her back. Big sister, are you all right? Why are you so careless? You're already so old, yet you can still choke on water. You're making me very worried. Thank you, really. Yundong finally calmed down and felt less uncomfortable. Unexpectedly, when she looked up, she realized that Chang Yaya was also trying her best to hold back her laughter. Ever since Chang Yaya entered the room, she did not know where to put her hands and feet. It was only when she heard the children's childish words that she slowly relaxed. She tried her best to suppress the smile on her face and gradually let go of the two children. Actually, the older children are not willing to play with the younger ones, so you can find someone of similar age and play with something else. Play with something else? What?